We're back. What is up, everybody? You know the drill. I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back. All right, guys, I'm going to say hello to everyone, and then you tell me what you want to do. I've got Savannah Guthrie and Police Insider revealed disturbing new clues. Is this all a distraction? You'll see what I mean when we get there. How's everybody doing? Good to see you. Kel's here. I got a couple of mods in the house. Carly. Oh, Synth is there today. All right. Hopefully everyone starts rolling in. I got people waiting. Sadie's mama, how you doing? True Crime Files, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope your channel's doing well. Krista, Mama Sage, Rose. Let's see what we got here. Kathy, you guys go sub up. A lot of you did. I see that at True Crime Files 67. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Click that like and share. All right, y'all, tell me what you want to do today. Have you watched the Okay, here's the deal. If we watch the part 1 and part 2 of Savannah Guthrie, I obviously have to interject because it's fair use, okay? So we're at day 54 missing, and there's a ton, and I mean a ton of new information. In my mind, in my opinion, there's a ton of new information that just came out with those interviews that tells us a whole lot about this case, things that we just frankly didn't know. All right. But if we do that, like I said, we'll stop, listen, interject. Have you guys seen the videos? Part 1 and part 2. If you want to watch those videos and have me break them down with you and then get into it, or if you've already watched them and you say, Jay, let's just get into it. Hit 1 if you've already seen them and you don't care. And 2, if you want to watch them and do all that stuff. All right, come on in. Kimberly Cunningham, how are you doing? Good to see you. Deb's in the house. Coffee and Dog Studio says, I'm going to listen. It's not. I'm going to listen while I clean. I love it. I've seen the interviews. Well, I need to know if you guys want to watch them already and you don't care. So you're ready to just rock and roll. One. We the only one that didn't see them is Kathy. One. We got 1, 2, 2. We got a few of them in there. 1, 2, 2. All right, guys. Some of you guys just haven't seen them. I don't know, but I think I get into it. What we can do, I have it all broken down either way. We can break it down. We can do whatever. I can start with part 1, break that down and see how you feel. Part 2, I can, I definitely going on 1.5. So I just want you guys to be on the same page. All right. We obviously can't play it. And I wouldn't anyway. You know me, I have to interject. For those of you that are new here, come on in, hit that like button, get yourself a membership. If you're already here, help out, support the channel. It's free by hitting that like button and sharing. Or you can get yourself a membership, gift yourself a gift, memberships, what have you. All right, just got in, not sure what she's asking. Just seeing who saw those and what. And it seems like it's almost split. So we'll probably try to, prayers for you, Kathy. I'm sorry. Now you can chill and relax. You don't have to stream or any of that. All right. That's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. This case is heartbreaking, and I know you guys know that. And yeah, Savannah has it on her Instagram. Of course she does, but it doesn't matter where you play it from. The bottom line is it is the bottom line is you still got to use fair use, and they will pull it down so fast that your head will spin. So let me take a look at this. And I also want you guys to know as well, Sadie's mama, hope you're doing well. Husky Lover, how you doing? Rocco, seems the sole purpose of the interview was to tell us Annie and Tommaso. Maybe not. Maybe not, Rocco. Maybe not. Maybe you'll see it a different way when we watch it together, because I have a much different version. Just like Brian Enton has a different version than me. He says what he got out of it was that the dang ransom note seems like maybe it is a ransom kidnapping. I did not get that from this at all, Rocco. So, I mean, I'm just going to, when I start calling this stuff out, you're going to say, oh, okay. I mean, she did mention Tommaso and Annie, but she also doesn't go into them in the way that she does with her brother, and no one else seems to do that either. Now, not that I'm saying that they did it. Of course, Annie and Tommaso would always be the number one suspects because they were the last person to be with her and see her alive. Now, not technically because we got this guy here, but if just out of pure whatever, if that happened to my mom and I had just dropped her off, I would be a suspect and my wife, because what's going to ultimately happen with Mama Pearl? She says no, but at some points we're going to have to take care of her, drive her to the doctors, do whatever. And I love you, Mom, but you guys know the drill. My mom is 71. Maybe when she's 95, I'll have to do that because Mama Pearl is real proud. But the whole point is, something happens to my mom, and Mrs. Guilty and myself would be the number one, and baby Guilty when she gets older. But right now, they wouldn't do that. And I want to thank you, Michelle Allender, for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received that membership, please thank her. All right. So in my opinion, she felt justified because of the doormat. Now, listen. That's just the rule. Number one suspect, your wife dies, you're the number one suspect. Your husband dies, you're the number one suspect. Your child dies, and you're the last person to see him. You're the number one suspect. That's all. That's it. That's all. All right. So, bottom line is, they did what they had to do. We did what we had to do. We said what we had to say. And we bought the house specifically, and my mom just moved back. We bought a house that has a in-law unit. So she's totally separate from us, and we're separate from her. She lived here for 12 years, moved for about 3, and now Mama Pearl's back. So yes, she's in San Jose at arm's distance. All right, at arm's distance. And that's why this case is so close to me, because I feel the same way that Savannah does. And I feel bad when she starts to cry thinking that it's her fault, because I did hear people in chat blaming her, saying that she was exploiting her mom by putting her on TV, showing her inside of the house. But I don't feel that way. I don't feel like she did that at all. I feel like she loves her mom, and she wanted to show her off, and she wanted her to be part of something and be something bigger and do something. She could barely walk to the mailbox. She wanted her mom to have a purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that. Let's say at some point, what if my channel blows up and we have millions of people? I'm proud of my mom. I'm going to bring my mom on and whatever, right? She didn't know better. She didn't realize that it might attract people, bad people, to her mom's house. And then now we find out about the locks. Listen up, guys. Listen up. Those locks, that is not good. That changes a whole lot. Savannah said Nancy couldn't. I know. She said some days she could. And even the Uber. So that's the whole thing, is she's proud of her mom. She didn't do anything wrong. Now that we understand the consequences of living in this day and age, we have to adjust ourselves to that. Lock your damn windows, lock your damn doors, make sure you pay for your damn subscription, things like that. Okay? Don't leave your doors unlocked. But she shouldn't blame herself, but other people are, Holly. Other people are. And rightfully so. I understand, but I sympathize and empathize with her. Flojo, thank you so much for the 5 Guilty of Crime memberships. You guys go sub up to his channel. It's in chat. It's very easy to find. And he has great content, and I love his voice. I could just chill out to his voice and listen to his content. Good content as well. Go sub up. What's up, Edith? How you doing? Deborah's in the house. All right. Welcome to everybody that's here today. Thank you. I appreciate you. And we'll get into it then. Let me put this in a little bit of perspective. Let me take a look at this article real quick that came out. I thought it was just Fox News in the interview, but in fact, missing woman's sister, Nancy Guthrie case, now a hope roller coaster for a family, search continues. Now, the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because cases like this happen and they never get solved, and it's terrible, and the outcome is aging faster, not knowing, and a bunch of other allegations and accusations against the family. Now, Julie Murray has nothing to do with this case, but Julie Murray, who's the sister of Maura Murray, vanished in 2004. She says the hardest part wasn't the day she went missing. What do you mean by that? You know what she means by that. As the search for Nancy continues and stretches past the 50-day with no answers, one woman who has spent more than 2 decades searching for her own missing sister says this is the moment the families fear most. When urgency begins to fade and the fight for answers become harder, Julie Murray, the sister of Maura Murray, who vanished in New Hampshire 2004, said what the Guthrie family is expecting or experiencing now is something she recognizes immediately. All right. What they're going through is something you never forget. You see it in their faces. You hear the desperation in their voices. And you guys know, as true crime people, cases go unsolved. Look at John Benet Ramsey. Look at John Ramsey. John Ramsey is getting older. He's going to die soon. He has lots of wrinkles and worry. And his whole life, he's spent allegedly trying to solve that case. Okay. In the meantime, I'm sure he missed out on life situations, his other child, and different things that would have been, could have been, and should have been, but aren't. Okay. So this, if you don't know this case, that's okay. We're not going to get into this case. It's just really the parallel. Now, listen, this is what we're experiencing right now. Most families that have to fight, they fight hard and beg for the level of attention that Savannah and Nancy are getting right now. Listen, some families don't get that attention at all. The attention she emphasized that can be life-saving is what us YouTubers and all the media people are doing out there, and social media. Media pressure saves lives, literally. Right? Look at the Bryan Laundrie. Look at the Laundries and the Laundrie family and what happened with that. Okay. Nancy Guthrie's neighbor noticed atypical pet behavior on the night of the disappearance of an earlier date report. And now we're looking at Nancy Guthrie. May she rest in peace. I do not think that she's with us any longer, guys. I mean, statistically and by the way of her health described. All right. Colleen, thank you so much for the $1 super sticker, and Bestie for the $1.99. Wouldn't let my 84-year-old mom live alone. Exactly. And listen, she feels the regret. That's what we're going to get into. I don't think Nancy Guthrie's alive anymore, but I do feel like there's a lot of distractions. All right, you guys already know the drill. She's been missing since February 1st. She's 84 years old, and this guy is a clown. He's messing up the case. I hope he gets kicked out, but this case has drawn national attention and emotional public appeal, and that's what's happening today. All right, and no pun intended with Nancy and Savannah on the Today Show. All right, she regrets it. Let's get into it. I'm going to break it down for you, as much as I can. Have you heard that? Yes, I have. That's another thing too. And we're going to talk about it as we continue. Okay. As we continue, you guys are going to really see what I'm talking about. All right, let's get into this. Let's pull this down. I'm just going to quickly give you a recap, not just like a quick 2-minute little news clip, and then we're going to get
interview since the disappearance of her mother, Nancy Guthrie, 53 days ago now. Tonight here, her emotional message and what Savannah is asking for. She and her family remain convinced that someone out there saw something or might know something, and they're asking them to please come forward. Here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, Savannah Guthrie speaking out in her first interview since her mother's kidnapping, opening up about her family's pain.
Someone needs to do the right thing. We are in agony.
Yeah.
We are in agony. It is unbearable.
Savannah sharing with Hoda Kotb how she is haunted, imagining what her mom might have experienced.
And to think of what she went through. I wake up every night, in the middle of the night, every night.
And this takes to get to part 2. So we're going to get there. And yeah, I see it on Instagram. However, on Instagram, it's still the Today Show. They'll pull you down as fast as they can. Why don't you ask Carly? Carly, you remember when we were covering the what was the case of the two ladies in Arizona? They're in Arizona too, or Utah. Oh my goodness. He is yelling, he's screaming. It would take a miracle. And she says that it would take a miracle. Let me press play real quick. Wes is having a complete meltdown. 1 second.
And in the darkness, I imagine her terror. And it is unthinkable, but those thoughts demand to be thought. Yeah. And I will not hide my face. But she needs to come home now.
It comes just days after Savannah posted a new call for the Tucson community to zero in on the hours around the kidnapping and about 3 weeks before. We hope people search their memories, especially around the key timelines of January 31st and the early morning hours of February 1st, as well as the late evening of January 11th. Investigators have asked neighbors for footage around that time. Sources tell ABC News they believe this image of the suspect without a backpack was recorded outside the home.
And guys, this case gets crazier the more you learn about it. All right. There was no need for any of this. Now that we know the back doors, plural, were left wide open, there was no need. And I'll tell you what I think about it in a bit. All right. Thank you for being here. DJ's in the house. Go sub up to his true crime. Off subject. I was going to say that Christopher Preciado was found guilty on all 3 counts for the Savannah Soto and Matthew Guerra murders. Next trial that's coming is for his whale of a father that helped him cover up that mess. So thank you. That, guys, and Jarvis Butts took a bye-bye tonight or today. Jarvis Butts took his own life. And we might not ever, probably never going to know where Naziah Harris is. They do know that she was pregnant at the time. So he was charged with that. He was going to be a bend over boy the rest of his life. He bitched out and he took his own life. Rest in hell, Jarvis Butts, and may God give him mercy. May he have mercy on his soul, because that is evil. All right. Yeah, Christopher Preciado found guilty. All 3 charges. Very, very, very quick trial. All right. Justice for Naziah. This Jarvis Butts character, he's a coward. He's a coward. He was literally raping his own family members, his own daughter. Naziah thought she was in a relationship with this man, and he freaking killed her and dumped her somewhere. And I'm pretty sure that the family, the grandma and his mother, the grandma and the aunt, had something to do with it as well. He did give a little piece of information before he died, but they're never going to find her body. And I'm not being anyway but truthful. Justice for Naziah, and may Jarvis Butts rot in hell. Frankly, I don't care. I don't care what happens to him at this point. He's a coward, and what he did to his family, his own family, is evil. Okay, raping your own children and your own family and anybody is evil, and then carrying it out in the way that he did is pure evil. So bye-bye to never see Jarvis Butts again. And for Fabian and Matthew, yes, and Matthew, and as well as Fabian, Savannah, and Matthew, may they rest in peace. All right. They were no longer with us as well. Tragic circumstances. Yeah, pure evil. You know, that idiot only got $300 from robbing Matthew Guerra and a few gold little jewelry pieces that his dumb self went and sold at a pawn shop. So if you watch that trial, it's just pure evidence, all evidence. Nothing is not. And there's no defense. Anyway, go watch that if you need something to watch. Check out the Naziah Harris case and the Christopher Preciado. Now let's get into Savannah Guthrie and Nancy.
Weeks before he appeared on Nancy's doorstep the night of the abduction.
And David, investigators stress they are still following up on every one of the thousands of tips that continue to pour in, as Savannah Guthrie describes on day 53, how she still wakes up at night imagining what her mother might have gone through. David.
Yeah, and we here at ABC remain hopeful for Savannah too. Trevor, thank you.
Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't.
All right, so we're gonna watch it. We're not gonna watch it through sidebar because then you guys wouldn't be able to see the whole thing. So we're just gonna do it here and cross our fingers that I use the right that I use the right fair use, because I forgot what case I was covering. I still can't remember the eight passengers case that we covered. They did not let us use that. I tried to use just a clip of their segment and they took my whole channel down like right then and there, the whole stream. So I guess we'll find out real quick. If this gets pulled down or something, then I'll come right back. And if we speed it up, it's a better opportunity for them not to do that as well. All right, so I'm going to put these on. We're going to listen and listen together. And don't worry if I miss something. We're going to come back to it. All right, don't worry. Seemed like a setup, trying to show us exactly what I don't even want to get into it yet, but what purpose do you have in going to a front door and doing this at the front door and making that statement at the front door on the video if you already had access to the house? Again, that goes hand in hand with sending a freaking kidnapping ransom letter to TMZ. It's all distractions. Yes, the Ruby Frankie case. Thank you. Yes, Ruby Frankie case. They wouldn't even let me use a snippet of a clip of their channel. They pulled my whole stream down. Yeah, me too. That's why I had to just learn how to present it correctly. All right, Dan Thrax. Dan Thrax emailed me. All right, Dan Thrax, when did you email me? And we're going to get into it. Let's go.
About your mom, always in the present tense.
Yeah. I mean, she is present tense to me.
Do you feel her or have you heard her any moments?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me about your mommy. Just tell me about her.
My mom she's incredible. She's resolute and strong. Quiet strength, quiet faith, but hard fought. She's funny and a little mischievous, I would say, in her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake.
She's not begging the camera because she's not going to give into that she's not going to give into that side of it. If you watch this and you see there's no reason for her to do that. She's done, in my opinion, what she should do on her Instagram, and now her faith is showing. That's my opinion. Her faith is showing, and she's showing how strong and resilient, and she's showing that she knows that her mom is probably not alive. She spent really good time, quality time with her mom, and they want closure. If this was all a big red herring, all a distraction, they want the body. She's still going to pay for it. That's what she's saying. She's showing dignity. She's showing pride, but not in a bad way. And that's how I would do. I would have to continue on. I couldn't just lay down and die. I'd have to continue on raising my children and having a marriage and going forward. And that's what I believe that she's bringing to the table right now. Did we do part 1 first on accident? I did. I put the wrong part up. My bad. Hold on. My bad. We're not going to do that. Let's go to part 1. I was like, why are we already at that? Wait.
You speak about your mom always.
I got to make sure we do it on the right one.
Take me back to the day. It was
okay. There it is. This has a ton of clues on this one. All of it does. We need to watch all of it. But let's go. I'm just. She doesn't have to do anything, Kimberly. That's the thing. She doesn't have to do anything. She could lay down and die right now and get herself old and wrinkled and thin and hopeless and have no faith. She could do that, or she could do this. That's how I see her.
So I guess a normal weekend for you.
Yeah.
The weekend your mom went missing. Tell me what you were doing and what happened.
Well, I had given Mike for Christmas a boys trip to go play tennis. And so he had been gone for the weekend. So I took my kids actually to Carson's. So we had a beautiful fun night together. And then I came home, and really it just got home at the same time that Mike came home. We were just saying hi, putting down our stuff, and the kids were running around. And my sister called me, and I said, "Is everything okay?" Mm-hmm. And she said, "No." She said, "Mom's missing." And I said, "What? Yeah. What are you talking about?" She said, "She's gone." And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like,
and again, in my mind, she's not giving excuses. She's just telling us what happened and how her sister sounded, okay? Rose, thank you so much. You do really good work. I appreciate it for the $5 super sticker. Awfully convenient. Exactly. There's a lot of things, no shoot vaccine, that's awfully convenient. Red herrings, distractions, and things that would only make sense to the person or people that have done this. And I absolutely don't believe any of that Savannah had anything to do with any of this. Right now, I was looking into Savannah Guthrie's ex, and also Dan, if you can email me at my on my email, I'm not looking at send me cases. I did not get your email, but guiltyofcrime@gmail.com. All right, let's go.
Call 911. Yeah. She's like, "I did. We've called them. They're here." And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because
again, I still want to know who called 911. I want to hear that call. Okay, now Savannah also never lets us know, or they don't tell her, that there was a ransom note in the house. Not once was that mentioned. Like it's an afterthought. Again, if you had a locksmith that did this and he made keys and he did all this, he would try to disguise it by leaving all the doors open and using that as a red herring, so nobody's looking at, it was locked from the inside and out. Who had that key? All right, so I'm just giving you an overall of what I'm thinking as this goes. No notes, but we don't know that for sure because FBI, Pima County isn't going to tell us all of that.
Back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense. We thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher.
And that has to be a red herring or a distraction because he went through the front door. All right. He literally, the only footage and the only thing we have of him is right there, 2 separate nights. Yet the back doors were wide open and there was no point of entry, no kind of break-in, no kind of windows, no kind of forced entry other than this person saying, "Be very afraid of me. I'm ripping the camera off and I'm very effing creepy." That's what he says to me in these images, but he doesn't need to do that. He never even needs to go on the camera. There's no reason for that. So you gotta, call it like it is. You got to call it like it is. Something is not adding up, and there's distractions being put out there. If everything's open, there was to be no reason to do what he did.
And they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things, and it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like, I'm going to call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
Within hours, Savannah was making the long journey home.
Now, I agree, guys. Every time I cover this case, I go full circle back to those people and the people that surround them. And I agree, they don't need to do anything, Annie and Tommaso, but they should if they want the pressure to come off of them. Okay. But I have a feeling and I don't want it to be, guys. I don't want it to be. I'd rather it be some weird guy that has a fetish of older women or some burglar that I want it to be that. I'd much rather it be that, I assure you. But I don't think that's the case.
Tucson. You saw Annie and Cam when you got to their house. Tell me about that moment.
Just disbelief and hugging each other. And I think we were on the phone with the sheriff and trying to, really make clear from the very early moments.
And I love how she includes them, but she's the leader of this. We were on the phone with sheriffs. You got to remember, Savannah wasn't she in New York, or was she already back in Tucson? That's what you guys can fill me in if you know that. Was she already back, but she had that throat surgery? Was she in New York and had to fly over, or was she in that Pima County? But either way, she keeps saying we. She talks very highly of her brother, but the only thing she says about her sister, and she doesn't call Tommaso, she calls him Tommy or Tom. The only thing she says is they take really good care of her, which tells me what I've been saying is right all along. Those are the two individuals that have full responsibility to take care of Nancy Guthrie. All right. New York. Okay. What's up? Oh, yeah. How you doing?
Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't
Tommy.
This isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. Mm-hmm. My mom, she was in tremendous pain. Yeah. Her back was very bad. She was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off.
And that further puts evidence that this is something else than a kidnapping, in my opinion, and the time that they were in the house, etc. But she does talk about the money, which leads me to believe while we're in here, let's get money. Oh, wait, mom doesn't have any money. All right, let's continue. When I hear the words honestly, I know that's true. That's true. They do know something, but not always. I hear you though. I don't think that
doors were popped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off. Yeah. And so we were saying, this is
do something.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
This isn't, something is very wrong here.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about what possibly could have happened? Like what could have happened? What went down?
I think my brother, my siblings are so amazing.
But do you see what she just said? And that was a slip up. All right. That was literally a slip up. My siblings. And then she stops and she says, my brother, and she focuses on him, how great he is, that he knew it was going to be a kidnapping. If you notice, I didn't even put kidnapping in my title. I put new clues, and I had to think heavily about how that I was going to word this, because I don't think that this was a kidnapping, a ransom kidnapping. I think it was much more and something else. And Dan, I do think you're right. I think there was some vindictiveness that wanted to hurt Savannah, wanted to hurt the family. And it could even be close enough to the inner circle because she has money. This rich bitch is off in New York. Sorry about my camera. I don't know why it does that. This rich bitch is off in New York living her best life, worth $40 million. Why is it doing that? Sorry, guys. Worth $40 million while we're taking care of mom and struggling to pay our mortgage. Screw that. Now, listen, I also thank you, Foxy, for the Guilty of Crime membership in honor of your brother, Christopher. That was taken way too soon. Thank you. Please thank Foxy if you receive that. All right, let's continue.
My brother, he spent his career in the military and worked in intelligence and is a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was. Yeah. And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew. And he said, I think she's been kidnapped.
Yeah, if he's a fighter pilot and everything was open the way it was, all right, somebody's not a Savannah fan in here tonight, huh? But regardless, I don't care if Savannah is cheap and greedy. I don't give a crap. She could be cheap and greedy. I can be cheap and greedy with my money if I want to. I don't need to give my brother shit. I don't need to give anyone shit. I earned it. I made it. If I want to give it, I will. Period. End of story. Just saying. I don't think Savannah had anything to do with it. And if she was cheap and greedy, it's still not her fault. All right.
For ransom. And I said, yeah. What? Yeah. Well, why? What? And then, it sounds so like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me. And he said,
and listen, we all think that. The whole world thinks it's because of her being a person in the television world with money, being a public figure does that. Okay. When I had idiots doing that shit to me, I got to tell you, I'm not a cheapskate, because when you're on my channel, we give stuff away like 4 or 5 times a week. So I am not a cheapskate, but if I were, that's my right to do so with my money. All right. Will Ferrell and Matt Lauer. Now, I was also looking into Savannah's husband, and I only looked into Savannah's husband because of the fact that I overlooked the husband in the case of the Teppies. You guys would have never guessed that it was ex-husband in the Teppies because it was a brief time years ago. Yes, I'm glad you guys are bringing this up. Savannah, if you watch this, this is not your fault.
I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did?
I hope not. I mean, we still don't know. Honestly, we don't know anything.
No.
We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money, we can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense, but we don't know.
That would make sense 110% as a motive if they would have left a freaking ransom letter. If they would have put a ransom letter out directly to her so she can pay it. If they didn't put a ransom letter out to freaking TMZ and the whole world. And then, I don't know why my camera's doing this, guys. Hold on. Let me adjust it. All right, there it goes. All of those things would be true if the other things weren't true. All right. And it's interesting that you say Matt Lauer. Huh.
Oh, but yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside. That it's because of me.
Oh, man. And when she says brought it to the bedside, there's no question about it. She literally brought America into her mom's house at her bedside. And yes, her mom left with no pajamas, no shoes. All right. I don't know what is going on with my camera today. Sorry, guys. Yes, hit the like button. This is not her fault, but she literally brought the entire planet into her mom's bedroom.
And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law.
Now, listen, she's apologizing to her sister and her brother. She's apologizing to Tommaso and Annie. All right. And if there were a note left, nobody said anything, and Savannah doesn't even know. How could that be? How could the person that has the money that would pay, she would have paid the ransom from day one, by the way. And if she would have paid the ransom from day one, why didn't they go directly to her? Because it was probably someone in the inner circle that would have known the language, that would have known, just like what happened with Annie and Tommaso, their inside circle. Their buddy said, we're getting tired of waiting for that crypto, dude. Send it over.
Just, I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom.
In the initial days, you and your sister and brother sat together. In all the despair, you sat and managed to think of words to say. How were you able to do that in that moment?
Well, my siblings are amazing. And we are a unit. And I talked about how brilliant my brother is, but my sister is equally brilliant and also has special powers of intuition and faith and language.
And see, I mean, she wants them not to be, and I really hope they aren't, but the connections could also be with Tommaso and the bandmates, okay? So Keep that going. Jealousy is a bitch. Right, Sadie's mama? You've been here since day one. Jealousy's a bitch.
And depth and heart. And I feel like we came together with all these beautiful gifts that came from our mom and dad and from Chrome God. And somehow together, we did our best to come up with the words to say. And I haven't posted one thing or said one thing that the three of us haven't decided together. It is surreal. It's, how is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to?
I wonder why they're not coming on at all to show their faces. I mean, I'm just really curious why they're not sitting on the couch with her, or like some kind of note or something. I just can't understand. Maggie says, do we know for a fact that she made it to her home? Yeah, she definitely made it home. We do know that she made it home, unless Tommaso, I don't believe in conspiracy theories this far. That would mean that Tommaso and Annie got a blood vial, pretended to take her home, opened the back doors, took the blood vial out and splattered it like it. No. That didn't happen. How you doing, Sylvette? Good to see you. Don't forget, guys, hit that like button, subscribe, get a membership, all the stuff.
A kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night.
And still hasn't had one thing, hasn't got a penny out of it. Nothing was missing, nothing was gone, nothing's been paid, and we haven't seen any ransoms asked for anymore. It just died down.
In her pajamas, with no shoes, without her medicine. This little person. And to beg for mercy.
In the days that followed, multiple notes demanding payment were sent to various media outlets.
The ransom notes or ransom requests came. Did you believe those to be real?
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think.
And see, that's what we've been saying. We've been saying there's copycatters. There's people were even making fun of the fact that JLR might have sent one of the letters to TMZ to get more coverage. You know what I'm saying? I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying any person in social media could have sent something to TMZ. They could have sent it to themselves behind a VPN or some firewall that you can't get past just to have more news. But what she's saying is she thinks that one of them may have actually been from a kidnapper and the rest were all over. Clementine, dang, I realize I haven't been commented once. Looks like I'm regressing back to the Lurk gang. What are you, in the bushes?
Most of them, it's my understanding, are not real, and I didn't see them. But, a person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the two notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And you see, there was 4 different messages, and she just told us right there. There's a lot of stuff coming out that 2 of them she believes are real. Now she knows the wording to them. They told her she was ready to pay it. She came out and said, "Hey, that's no problem. You want $1 million? Here you go. Give me your damn Bitcoin pocket, whatever the hell, your whatever, and we'll give it to you." She didn't even care.
When the Ring camera video surfaced and you could see who that person was, just tell me what you thought when you saw those images of the person who took your mother.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
And that sucks that we even had to see this camera footage. The people in Pima County they have to be terrified. If there's some random guy that's coming to your door and casing your house weeks before, and then coming back and casing the house and leaving a clear message that he's going to harm you, but he doesn't need to break in. He's just going to come right in, and he's only doing it for it can't be. This has to be targeted, and there has to be a bunch of red herrings in it, in my opinion. And again, we'll get into that more, but it doesn't, none of that makes sense for what happened. I know she wasn't naked. She just didn't have shoes on. She didn't have her glasses or whatever. But she's probably in her pajamas. That's it.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too much.
Yeah.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. So I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop.
Now, I definitely looked at that, Jammy Dial, and if we have time today, I'd be happy to delve into that. All right? I'd absolutely be happy to delve into that.
The irresponsible.
Come on, guys.
Cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw
Yeah.
what came to our door.
Yeah. When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo, that it was.
The family, of course, wanted proof of life, but she would have sent it without proof of life. She was advised by hostage negotiators and people that work on to help writing these things not to do that, because they said she would never see her mom again or that money.
Somebody in your family. How did you weather that?
It's unbearable.
Yeah.
And it piles pain upon pain.
Five.
There are no words. There are no words. I don't understand. I'll never understand. And no one took better care of my mom than my sister and brother-in-law.
And just as I suspected, they are and were her caretakers, okay? Day in and day out, whatever she needed. I believe she's a proud woman. She wanted to live by herself. Her husband lived in that house. The kids grew up in that house, and she wanted to have that familiarity, and that's why she was by herself. They didn't hire caretakers. Annie and Tommaso had just bought a house. Again, rumor has it that they haven't paid their mortgage not once, but I don't know.
And no one protected my mom more than my brother.
That one.
And we love her, and she is our shining light. She's our matriarch. Mm-hmm. She's all we have.
Savannah and her family stayed together in Arizona for weeks as the media coverage grew more intense.
We had to move houses many times because people came, and not everyone is respectful, unfortunately. You know, there was a night we had to leave in the dark in the desert, holding hands, me and my sister and brother and I.
Guys, I just quickly, let's say a prayer that this doesn't drag out for 20 years and we never find out and we never lay her to rest. All right. And then secondly, guys, I do not want it to be Annie and Tommaso really bad. I really, really, really don't want it to be Annie and Tommaso. All right. Just so no matter if I'm saying that and it keeps coming back, I'm not saying it because I want to say it. I'm saying because everything keeps pointing right back at that group. Right. There's 573 people in here and only 177 likes. Come on.
Get into a car waiting for us because the people outside were closing in. So we found a place that was safe, and then we couldn't really leave too much. So like those days are a blur.
Yeah.
Crying and praying.
How did your family feel about the way the investigation was conducted?
Well, it's still going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people have worked tirelessly. And we see that.
Now, listen, that's a huge possibility, Sylvette Matthews. And once in a while, I do look at conspiracy theories. This, I don't think is that, but if it were, it would be an angry person, somebody very angry at Savannah and the family and whatever she did, and they took it out on her mom. And it's just a big red herring to throw out a kidnapping letter and to go on video and look like that. There's absolutely 0% of a chance or a reason that this ever had to happen. This guy did not have to go on camera when the back doors were wide open, unless they had a key or unless they had already come in and they wanted to throw the law enforcement off of their trail. Again, it all comes back to distractions in the case and what it really happened. All right, let's continue.
But we need answers. We cannot be at peace without knowing. And someone can do the right thing. And it is never too late to do the right thing. And our hearts are focused on that.
I think where Savannah ended that, it's not too late to do the right thing, is really, I think, the intent from the beginning.
Yeah.
I think she was a fantasy, was that someone sees it, someone who saw someone who knows someone who.
All right, we're not going to listen to their chatter. I want to get through these so I can give you mine. This is, I mean, their chatter is what we're going to be talking about, and they're not really giving theories. She's just talking about and to a friend, essentially. So you guys, the links in my chat, in my description. Let's get on to part 2 so that we can really talk about the distractions and the theories. And I'm going to hit play and I'll be right back in 2 seconds. What? Not in 2 seconds, but you know what I'm saying.
Always in the present tense.
Yeah. I mean, she is present tense to me.
Do you feel her or have you heard her any moments?
Yep.
Yeah, a little bit.
Tell me about your mommy. Just tell me about her.
My
Yep.
mom she's incredible. She's resolute and strong. Quiet strength, quiet faith, but hard fought. She's funny and a little mischievous, I would say, in her humor. She's a noble creature. She does what's right. She walks in faith, but not a fake, pious, put on faith, but like a grounded, earthy, she fought for it faith.
When you posted Please Pray in the beginning, the ocean of love and prayers, did you feel that? Did you sense what was happening?
I do feel prayers, I do. I believe that. I think.
And, I mean, even for her smiling right now and the way that she is, I think you guys, some of you that she comes off as fake, I can see where you're coming from, only because she's done this for years. And when I say done this, she's been the face of media. And right now she's being the face of her family and her missing mom that she loves dearly. Okay. So when you look at that and you look at the subject we're talking about and she's smiling, I bet people that don't like her say, that bitch, I bet she did it. I bet she doesn't even care. Look at her smiling. I can't believe she's not crying. No, we do that. But you have to put your face on for you guys. And I'll get to your stuff in a second, Emily, because I have something to say about that. I was going to just say this week, I haven't felt that good either. Baby Guilty's been sick, and I think I might have caught her stomach flu and all kinds of stuff. And yet I still come on here and laugh with you guys and smile. Do I want to go lay down in bed and just take headache pills and keep drinking water? Yeah, but you got to get up and do your thing. And so I can see why, she's thinking about her mom, but I can see why it comes across as fake, because she's got to do that and she's done it for so long. All right, Emily, let's talk about this for a second. Annie and Tommaso, did they ever ask Savannah for money? What if they wanted to punish Savannah by going after the person closest? Maybe they didn't mean for her to pass away. All relevant questions, none that I can answer. But a bigger question is, what's going to happen next? All right, what's going to happen next? Listen, it's been 8 weeks. Who's paid the second on the mortgage? Who's mowing the lawns? Who's keeping the pool clean? Who's paying who's keeping the electric bill on? Who's cleaning it? All right, I ask you, that's the more important question. That's what we're going to see next. All right, thank you so much, True Crime Junkie. I appreciate that.
She would have been just amazed, just truly amazed.
One of the images that stayed with me through all of this was you and Annie and Tommaso walking up and looking at the flowers and at the notes. As I saw that, I thought, oh, I wonder if...
Now, that was, in my opinion, that whole thing was staged to take the heat off of Annie and Tommaso. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that Tommaso hasn't said a word and that Annie's like, ah, like they're having to hold her up. Now, maybe that's how she grieves, and maybe that's why she's not talking. And again, I say a prayer for all victims, and I apologize to Annie and Tommaso if I'm wrong about the connection, but overdoing it, having to hold your brother-in-law up, and the way they did that just was so effing staged. It's bad. I try not to do shit like that so it doesn't come across like that. It's a common laugh or smile during duress. Yes, it's a mechanism in psychology that nerves confused, right? And sometimes it's not.
Savannah's going inside, and what that must have felt like for you to go inside of your mom's, your childhood home, your mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that we grew up in. It's really the only house I've ever known and remember. So we moved there when I was about 4, I think. Mm-hmm. It's the house where I came home on a Friday night at 6.
And listen, you hear that? Those ties to the family and the dad that passed away when Savannah was 16. She feels his presence there. And I believe that Nancy Guthrie has good faith. I think that she was heavily into God. When you start to get older and you realize that your demise is coming, you absolutely get closer to the Lord. Or when something happens. Foxy says, hey, y'all, I'm on campus. And you're a member for 18 dang months. It's been that long. All right, you'll be back in a few. Had to drop in and gift the 420. See y'all in chat tomorrow. Thank you, Foxy. I do appreciate that. We will miss your humor today. All right, let's continue.
And my mom and sister were on the couch praying and told me that my father had died. It's the house where all of our memories are, good and bad. So it's hallowed ground. My mom loved and treasured that house in good years and lean years. They were able to hold on to that house. That's my mom.
Listen, whoever's the most stable usually gets that responsibility. All right. I do have a brother and I do have a nephew, and my mom raised all 3 of us as her children. But you know who's going to be taking care of Mama Pearl? Me. Ding, 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 ding. Me and Baby Guilty and Mrs. Guilty. Just saying. All right. I wouldn't want people to think that my brother or my nephew would do that to my mom. But I definitely can empathize with this case, especially in the way she's talking about her mom and how she's a strong character and she's into religion. If it weren't for my mom putting religion and faith into me young, I wouldn't have it either. And a lot of other things. My mom is so proud. All right. There's been times that things have happened medically with my mom, and she will not let me help her. There'll be a point where she can't say no. All right. Okay. So thank you for letting me know that. She was in New York when she was found out. Her sister called her. But who called 911 and where's that damn call? Thank you, Deb. I appreciate you. I hope you're feeling okay today or good. Exactly, Jay. It was like they already knew mom was gone and they were at her funeral, in my opinion. Oh, dear Lord.
Safe haven. It's really
you.
hard to see that violated and the terror that she must have felt is unbearable. It's unbearable.
Tell me, while you were spending all this time in Tucson, your kids were home, what do they know?
Well, it's so hard with kids because, you want to protect them.
Now, I think more than anything, Tucson girl, and I'm glad you're here. Come on in, relax, chill out. More than anything, the Annie and Tommaso inner circle needed money. They have not a lot, and they also have records of robbery and theft, right? So Tucson girl, Annie and Tommaso brought that inner circle with them as a band, and they had just bought the house 6 months before, taking care of the mom full time with Savannah in New York. The friends could have came over, had a drink and a beer, and there's 555 people in chat. Say a prayer that Nancy gets brought home. All right, let's continue.
Vale would write me all the time, Mama, any leads? Do you hear anything? Any hope? And I think that, we tried to talk to them.
They did, but there's also a 911 call, and they don't go into details. Mrs. Bennett, I thought the church members called for a wellness check. I wish we knew all the answers, right? Because she says that Annie said they had already called 911. All right? Yeah, gulp.
And try to give them a little more certainty than we have.
Smoking!
To let them grieve. And for my little nephew Olmo too, there's just a way in which this is even so much harder on Annie and Tommy and Olmo because they're there.
Yeah.
It is much harder on them. And guess what, Savannah? It's probably much harder on them. The fact that they live 10 minutes away and mom can't walk to the mailbox. All right? She can sometimes, which means that Annie and Tommaso have to come over there and get her mail and bring it to her house and get any packages and bring it in, and anything else, do that. And with a lack of money and seeing mama having this house, mom could barely move anyway. My rich bitch sister has a ton of money. They're all playing pool one night with their band members, and shit, I haven't even paid the mortgage yet. And his buddy over there's like, yeah, man, I'm still in this band at 50 years old. We never made anything. And, I still have a record from that robbery that I did. All right. I'm just giving you guys information. In my opinion, this episode has a draw on a couple people, possibly in the family heartstrings. Does she not want to think it's exactly? We watched that yesterday on my channel. Thank you.
And they were there every day for my mom. They made it possible for her to stay in the house we grew up in that she loved so much. I think she always stayed in that house because I think she still felt my father there.
So there's your answer. She literally just said that they made it possible for her to stay in that house by being there and taking care of her. And I already figured that that's why she would want to stay there. That was the damn family home that they bought for, probably 80,000 or whatever, 30,000 way back in the day. She took some money out on it. Children's all grown up. She's proud, a proud woman. But Annie and Tommaso allowed her to do that. I wonder what they had to sacrifice for that. You guys maybe drop comments. Tell me what you think they had to sacrifice for taking care of their mom that Savannah wasn't.
All our memories. Let her have her space. And there's just a way in which this is just even more excruciating for them.
She probably did. Deborah, I don't think that it really makes a matter at this point. I would beg to, I was going to say beg to differ, but I would say she absolutely probably took a second mortgage on the house. Why wouldn't you? Why the hell not? Now, I'm not going to get into my finances, but all I can say is I have more assets than liquid, and I could imagine doing that. I've been in my house for 18 years already. And think about that. The prices have skyrocketed in the Bay Area. All right. So just think of that. Absolutely. When I get 84 and I'm still in this damn house that's paid off, I'm going to get me some money and go to Vegas. So, yes, if she took a second out, the second on a mortgage still isn't going to be the price of a mortgage nowadays. Nowadays in San Jose, you cannot buy a house for less than $1 million. And I shit you not, even condos, old ass condos, are $950,000 in San Jose. Do you think I bought a $950,000 house? Hell no, I didn't. I bought it in 2008. Just saying. All right. So just start thinking of those things right now. Think about all of the details.
All that they've been through.
I know it was a hard decision for you, and I know you told me about this, was coming back here, leaving Arizona to come back to New York. Why was that so difficult, that choice?
I gotta say, shout out to my Hayward people, Star Play 19. Shout out to you, San Jose, baby. 20-something years. Crime time grime. Ha, I'm broke. I can't afford to pay attention. Bump. Hey, go sign. I want to sign up to your channel. Did you drop a link? Drop a link, my friend. Drop a link.
I looked out the window of the airplane and just thought, where are you?
Yeah.
That desert, that beautiful desert that she loves. So where are you?
Yeah.
How could I leave you? But my mom taught me a lot about grief. Our family knows grief. My father passed when I was 16 years old. He was only 49. It was a shock. And I remember my mom saying in those early days when Daddy died, like, you have to get up and decide and do. Just decide and do. And she had read that in a book that meant a lot to her and her grief. And so I always remember that. So I'm trying to decide and do. Just get up and decide and do every day. You know, I've felt terrible grief, and I felt.
Now listen, guys, we gotta be realistic about this. Kelly Lynch in Ontario, Canada. It's pouring. What's up? Synth, I really doubt Tommaso had POA. Cameron has a condo in Tucson. Now, listen, Linda, I do think that, and I absolutely think that if Tommaso doesn't, Annie does, because they are her caretakers. So I ask you the question, I pose the question to you, Linda, and to you, Sadie's mama, and to you, Synth, and to you, DeBossin, representing San Jose. Woo, woo. What's up, girl? The boss bitch. Yep, San Jose, born and raised, she says. All right. So they were the caretakers. Who's going to make the next payment on that second? Who's going to keep the house up to date? Who's going to do all that? The caretakers. All right. And we'll see. We're going to watch as this unfolds, unless somebody gets arrested.
Unfathomable love and comfort. The goodness and kindness of God is remarkable. And
We don't
in
know.
equal measure to my sorrow. Wow. She showed us how to survive the unimaginable. When she lost my dad, she was 46 years old. She had 3 kids. She had never worked outside the home. She had to get up. She had to find a job. She had to mother 2 teenagers and 1 young adult just starting making his way into the world. She took care of her mother, her brother, who had Down syndrome. She invited to come live with us. She worked part-time to make ends kind of meet. She found a way, another job, a job she turned into a full-time job, a job she.
But listen, see, her mother was proud. Her mother worked hard. She raised children. She had a father for him. He passed away. She continued on. And if she took a second out on the house, guys, she could have taken a second on the house years ago. She's lived there since 1975. All right. She could have taken it out for anything. She could have taken it out because she needed to do a new roof and she wanted a pool in the backyard. Who knows? All right. But you're right, Colleen. Bingo, right there, right now. Who's going to take care of the finances now? That's what I want to know. And I do too. Joanne, I pray it's not them for Savannah's sake and that family.
Turned into a career. She had a second life of purpose and meaning. She had a million friends.
Mm-hmm.
She stayed strong for us. She was resolute.
Mm-hmm.
She was real. She grieved.
And that makes sense. Her mom wanted to be where she knew and how she could live. Otherwise, mom would have to sell the house and move to New York and have her take care of her, because I'm sure she would, or she'd just pay for her to stay somewhere like my boss does with his 93-year-old mother. Okay. His 93-year-old mother was living in the house next door to him. I shit you not, 2 yards connected. And yet she couldn't live by herself because she couldn't even get next door. If something happened, they had to put her in a home. And that was right next door. All right. So we don't know to what extent. And yeah, isn't it it's not public record because we haven't done anything. There's nothing happened yet. And it's not going to be released. What's up, Patriot Pride? Good to see ya. What is up, Jess? It's Jess in the house.
I remember moments in my childhood, in those days after my dad died. She was so strong. But some mornings, before dawn, when she thought we were still sleeping, I would hear her crying at my door.
Now, when we say targeted and an inner circle or inside job, it doesn't even mean that Annie or Tommaso had anything to do with it. It could literally be somebody connected to Savannah, an ex-husband, an ex-lover, a mad person, or Tommaso's bandmates that are like, F this shit. These people, look at them. They're living large off their mom. She's going to die. They get the house. Screw them. We're going to get some Bitcoin out of it. Whatever. I am not saying that the family is directly involved, and I hope to God they're not. But there is no reason for this to have happened if it was easy to get in and there's no point that they had to break in. There was no reason for any of that. There was no reason to go back and plan it out. There was no reason for a lot of things to have happened. There's no reason to send a ransom note to TMZ and let the whole world know about it rather than getting paid and moving to freaking Mexico and just disappearing. That is not how it went down. So what you're saying, it's cool, but respectful of respect, agree to disagree. What? Oh, I know. I would be terrified. Oh, damn. Hold on, guys. I'm sitting there listening to this and talking with you guys, and I forgot to put it back on the thing. I literally, and Mab, I hope you're here. I pulled a Mab right now. All right, let's go. Patriot Pride. I think I don't know anymore. This case is so wild. So tomorrow we're supposed to have a collaboration with Mab and the conspiracy theorists. That includes Patriot Pride. So we'll see if that happens. And I won't do that again, I promise.
to not be alone in her grief.
There's sound now.
So she taught me
Thank you.
to be strong, but she taught me to be true. My faith is strong and resolute. But I, early on, felt that I heard, for one of the very few times in my life, I did hear God speak to me. As I said to myself, I can handle anything, God. I can handle anything. I just can't handle not knowing.
You know why she's doing that, in my opinion? And it's my opinion because, well, it's my channel and I'm breaking it down for you guys. I don't think she's trying to deflect at all. I think they had a plan. They knew what they were going to talk about. They've already begged. They've already cried. They've already shown face. They've already offered to pay a freaking ransom. And now it's time to get down to the good old, somebody's going to sympathize with me. Somebody's going to empathize with me and tell me where her body is. That's what I believe is happening. Just saying. But again, we could agree to disagree.
We can't handle not knowing.
Yeah.
I have to know. And I heard a voice,
Exactly, Linda.
and it said, "You do know where she is. She's with me. She's with me." So whether she is on this earth still, or whether she is in heaven,
She said earlier that it would take a miracle for her mother to be alive, and she's right. I have a better chance of winning the lottery right now at the corner store than we're going to see Nancy Guthrie just walk back in, guys. Remember, she wasn't in good health. She's been gone for almost 8 weeks. She didn't have anything with her. Her pacemaker spiked. There was some blood. All right. Savannah said the back door. She did say the back door was propped open, and she also said doors. So we think there's multiple doors that were left open. What's up, Norma? Good to see you, my friend. Very heartbreaking.
I know where she is. I know who she's with. But we
Yes.
need to know.
I mean, Savannah's faith has been on display over the years, but never quite like that.
I don't know if people realize that none of us have had much correspondence with her over this whole 54-day ordeal. So as we're watching this with the world, we're learning and unpacking so much about our dear friend.
Yeah.
And it's hard to process here in live TV in the moment.
Yeah. But what's amazing is the very source of her pain is the very source of her faith.
Yeah.
And Nancy showing her the path, which is just amazing.
So I get the sense by watching that. Obviously, the grief is just unfathomable. It's hard to watch. It seems like she's found some peace.
I think she's
found some peace.
I think she has found some, but I think she wants the answers too. She says that no one will steal the joy. No one can walk into their lives and steal that joy. But when she talked about the equal parts, like she's seen the best of humanity and the worst of it. She's seen the best of faith that's carried her through. And her mom taught her that, like still teaching her lessons to this day. I learned so many things that I did not know about Savannah in that moment myself, and Nancy especially.
And the thing about Nancy too was she had this wicked sense of humor. I remember saying something to her about a school in Arizona that did not accept Savannah, and she had a pithy remark that's not repeatable, but with a smile on her face.
I have to say, and since we've all met and known Nancy, to really understand who she is is really special. But we're going to hear
That's awesome.
a lot more from Savannah. She actually revealed what her plans are, not just returning home here to New York, but returning home.
Don't worry, guys. We're getting into the police inside information about the clues, talking about the doors, and my theory about this just being a big distraction. All right. So, all right, let's continue. I love getting text messages while I'm filming. Mom. All right.
Home here today. So we're going to talk about that, her future. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to have more from our conversation. It's a special edition of Dateline. It's at 9 to 8 Central.
So listen, her mom has all the advantages in the world at this point. I want you to realize that. many people do not get this kind of national, international attention in the way that she is getting. The whole world is getting to see this. And if just one person slips up at the bar, they're playing pool and they get a little drunk and they say some bullshit like that, like, oh yeah, or something goes on, that one lead can go right back and we can find who did it, who's connected, and where the body is. Ordinary Supergirl. My opinion is Nancy Guthrie was gone from day one. Savannah Guthrie was made to scare other journalists. FBI was involved from day one, and the investigation was so bad, SSA backwards, because they all know she's sadly gone. That's a good opinion. I mean, I agree partially with that. Let's continue. Thank you for being here, you guys. There's 570 people. Hit that like button, please. You never know. You know what? I'm actually going to give some memberships right now. So hit that like button. Subscribe if you like the way I present content and my channel, and I will gift memberships right now when we get into this.
Oh, God, 54. Every time I see the numbers go up like this, I still can't believe how long this has been. But a lot has happened that I want to bring to you. Number one, Savannah Guthrie has spoken for the first time openly about a lot of details, not just about how this has affected her, how it's affected her family, but she's also released details about the investigation and what happened inside that house that we had not heard before. And some that actually confirmed things that I reported to you on day 3. So I'm going to play for you.
And this is why it came back to her, because not only does she have inside information and a source that is telling her things, but her theory and the people that she has on talking about it is like, damn, you couldn't get much closer to that. And again, we'll see what happens. Where was he all night? Who, what am I missing? All right, hit that like button, guys. Drop a comment. Oh, I missed you, Michael. I'm sorry. Michael is just tapping in to let us know he's here. Remember, for 14 months. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you. Patriot Pride says hit that like button, ring the bell, and share. Thank you, Patriot Pride. I appreciate you.
The information that Savannah has released in her interview on the Today Show with Hoda Kotb. And also, I've learned some information as well from my sources in the investigation about the progress or lack thereof, specifics about that.
Yes.
And in a moment, you're also going to hear from an investigator who perhaps might be the leading authority on cases that are real difficult to solve, like the case that he was instrumental in solving, took up to 4 decades to solve. So Paul Holes, famous Costa Contra investigator, he is going to join me in just a moment. And
guys, this guy is just like this. This guy is literally, who's Jess? Mo Franjo. Yes, you know what? I'm just going to interject for a second. I know we're not talking about my situation, but here's the deal. We plan that. Now, I know I don't look like a planner. You guys probably think Jay from Guilty of Crime probably looks like she can party. She looks like a good partier. Let's go have a party. But you know what? I'm really kind of boring, and I plan my life. And when we bought our house almost 19 years ago, it took me the entire summer. I went through 50 different houses to find a house that has an in-law unit that my mom could live in. And my mom didn't even live in there yet. She was with her fiance for 13 years. They split up and she came and lived in the guest house. Then she got another relationship and she got engaged and she moved out for 3.5 years. And now Mama Pearl is back. Okay. So in the meantime, I just rented out the house when she wasn't there. I used the house when she wasn't there, but it's absolutely separate. We don't go in on each other. She's in her house. I'm in mine. We have our own entrances. We have our own things. That's how you do it. If you got to take care of your parents, you plan and you do that. Right. So yeah, Italian in you all. That's what you do. And I hope this is not the family that did this.
Talk about when a case atrophies and how they draw down on the investigators, the staffing, the resources, and all the rest? Like, what's the actual metric they use to start pulling everything away? Because right now we know there's task force, right? It used to be 400 investigators, right? Now we know it is task force, and it may be only a dozen or so. That's FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department investigators. So he's really, really knowledgeable about that, especially with the information that I just learned from my source.
Well, I just want people to know the relationship that I have with my wonderful mom. And I was so excited when she moved back, although I felt bad, right? I think you're the best presenter I've ever watched. Are you about to troll me and talk crap in a minute? Thank you, but I feel like that's a little bit. All right, I'm gonna give some memberships right now. I appreciate that. Let's continue.
About where this investigation stands now. So let me just get right to it with some of the news that Savannah Guthrie made when she did her interview on the Today Show this morning. And again, it is March 26th. It's Thursday. So Hoda got right to it and talked about how she learned that her mom was missing. Like, what were the steps that she went through to find out what had happened and arrive down in Arizona and meet up with her siblings for the first time. And what you're about to hear is not only that information, but also listen very carefully in Savannah's answer, because she gives a detail about the back doors of the house. And I need to tell you that a couple days ago, I did an episode on information that I got from my sources, law enforcement sources, saying
they're going to show us there's a third door. And unfortunately, guys, there's an unfortunate part. Okay, first of all, there's a good part. I just gifted 10 memberships. If you want to be here and you like the channel, make sure to subscribe. We win stuff, we give stuff out, and you guys win stuff all the time just for being a member. Thank you, Lucky. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And okay, so there are 10 memberships, and then but the inside information that we're going to see is not by my favorite person. And if you guys know what I mean, when we get there, we have a special name for him on our channel, but he did give us some good information. So we're going to get there. Thanks, Tracy. I appreciate that. I really am boring, though. I hope you guys got the memberships that you wanted.
That the Guthrie kids had told the police that Mrs. Guthrie routinely left her back doors, plural, open, unlocked. And we did the best we could to look with every image we could at the back of Mrs. Guthrie's house. And we could only identify 2 back doors. But since that episode, Gray Hughes, who also helped me to identify this, was able to identify a 3rd door that you just can't.
And I'm sorry. Unfortunately, Gray Pubes is a source on here, and I can't get rid of it because it shows the perimeter and the different doors that mean so much in this case. All right. Yeah, we're not a fan of him, but you know, anyway, just don't go to his channel and not pay him. If you go to his channel and you don't give him money, you get yelled at and blocked.
Cannot see. It's a 3rd back door that actually goes into the kitchen.
I was just on Ashley Banfield's show yesterday, and a recording, and she put out a video, and we were discussing where the doors are. And then she apparently uncovered an image today where it shows, I think it's Savannah Guthrie inside the home. And here's that picture right here. Now, when you look at this, you see this kitchen over here, and then there's a window kind of high up here.
Aww.
And there's the undercovered area.
Prayers.
And the way you're looking at it in that kitchen is about like this. So that means that the kitchen sink and everything is right under here. And then that door is right there. Now, we haven't seen any pictures where we see a door right there until just recently. I just happened to be looking at it after Ashley sent me that image. I thought, well, heck, we got to go see if we can verify whether or not that door is in that position. So if we take a look at this video right here, this is one that was put out, looks like on Forbes, CNN video. And this is the...
No worries, my friend. There's 1,000 other channels doing this right now with totally different perspectives. You're all good. Come back tomorrow. Hopefully we appeal to you. We're going to have Friday's always a good day. All right. Come back tomorrow. And Gray Hughes is only going to talk for a few minutes, not even a few minutes, a few more seconds. And then we're going to move on to this world renowned expert that thinks exactly right on point, like real can be. All right. But have a good night anyway. I appreciate you. Sorry I had to step away. Yes, it's great. We don't call him that here, but yes.
Slider that goes into that living room area just as you come into the house, or maybe family room. I think it's probably his living room. So that's a slider that goes in there, and there's sort of a long entryway down to the arch. Now, to the left here, where they're about to go into, that's likely Nancy Guthrie's bedroom slider. So this is on that little sort of secluded patio. And there you see it right there. There is the bedroom slider. Now let me continue forward around the house here. And then this guy right here comes walking out from under here. Now, I didn't notice it before, but look right there. There's a door, and that matches exactly where you would predict the door would be based on an image.
There's another back door.
Let me go back to that image for a second because it went really fast. Actually, I wanted to look at that too. When you look at the perimeter of the entire area, there's really nowhere to go. There's no house. There's a house far on this side. This side, from this street, you could certainly come back here and park, do a kidnapping, and go this way. But some reason they came through the front door. And I'm gonna say it again and again. I think they only came through the front door for the scare factor and the red herrings. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say. Gray Pubes isn't gonna be on here long. Don't worry. Wow, just wow. You're better, girl. You're better than me, girl. Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome today. I appreciate it. It's much better than getting trolls. All right, so yeah, look at that. I mean, look at where she lives. I don't know, where's her mailbox? Is her mailbox? I mean, she can't even walk to the mailbox. Is it right here? Is it right outside of this driveway? This is targeted. It's targeted and it was planned. And you guys know that because the guy was there 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior.
Continue forward around the house here. And then this guy right here comes walking out from under here. Now, I didn't notice it before, but look right there. There's a door, and that matches exactly where you would predict the door would be based on an image.
It goes so fast, I can't get it. If I can't get it, I won't, but I can't get it.
Where you would predict the door would be.
Okay, there it is. I just want to have a look at that real quick. All right. So I wanted to just see where the garage was, and it's important to see that. Yep, a sophisticated plan that didn't go so sophisticated. Of course, Ray-Jean. Of course we're good. Is it Ray-Jean or Ray-Jean? We're always good. And I love your dog picture. You have those pumpkins with your little puppy. Or the Halloween time, my favorite time of year. Of course we're good, y'all. You guys can agree to disagree or say anything you want. We're cool, man. All right. Now, look, it's strange that Nancy lived alone in that huge house. She was an easy target. You're right. But when you look at the layout of the house and where she went through on the garage, it just kind of puts a little bit more. It puts a little more emphasis on why Tommaso would just run up into the driveway and let the mom go through the garage into the house and wherever her room was. Because she probably went straight to bed when she was done, right? Maybe she stopped by the kitchen, but her room is in the back. All right, just take a note of this layout. Let's continue.
It's not an image.
There's another back door that goes into the family room behind that outdoor patio. And then there's a third back door that goes to a garage or a storage room. At least that's what the old plans say. So there's 3 back doors. And
we didn't know there were 3 back doors. Not only that, but True Crime Junkie, what you're saying is a possibility. There's 2 big possibilities in my opinion. If there are, I could Google right now. I can Google people that have that. I forgot what the name of it is, but there's men that have, and it could be more than men. I don't know. People have fascinations with older women and they want to have sex with them or grape them. All right. That's a real thing. So if that were the case technically, and they wanted to do that and they just took her and they didn't really want for her to die that quick, but they said, let's leave the back doors open. Let's go on the camera. Let's just throw them off. Cause that's what you do. Criminals throw people off. All right. Look at when these serial killers that which case wasn't solved? The one here in San Francisco. Damn it. It's the Zodiac. That guy would leave signs on there, Zodiac signs, leaving trails, but also throwing off where they never find it. And that guy couldn't be farther from the Zodiac, we'll say. We don't know who it is for sure, but They'd purposely do that to lead us, to give us red herrings, and to look the other way. Pink stars, good to see you, my friend.
If you listen to Savannah's answer, you will hear her refer to back doors, plural, being open. Take a listen.
And my sister called me and I said, is everything okay? Mm-hmm. And she said, no. She said, Mom's missing. And I said, what? Yeah. What are you talking about? She said, she's gone. And she was in a panic. I was in a panic. I'm like, call 911. Yeah. She's like, I did. We've called them. They're here. And we thought that she must have had like some kind of medical episode in the night, and that somehow, the paramedics had come because the back doors were propped open, and that didn't make any sense.
Now, here's the thing, that whatever the next step that happens is going to give us an idea of what happened. All right. Pam Todd, I see ya. Hopefully you don't fly by chat. I don't think it's odd that the landscaper and the pool people keep on schedule, because you have to keep a house up. That would happen with me as well. We have the same situation. I don't mow the lawn or trim my rose bushes. They would keep coming, and you need them to keep coming, or you're going to have this overgrown house with a pool full of algae. So I know it sounds weird, but you got to do that. Even Amazon packages kept coming. A big Amazon package came 25 days after she went missing. All right. My understanding is that T walked her inside. Anyone know? We're going to listen right now. Maybe we'll find out. I don't think so.
Thought maybe they came and there was a stretcher and they took her out the back, but her phone was there and her purse was there and all her things. And it just didn't make any sense. So, Annie and Tommy had already called all the hospitals, but then I'm like,
do you know who else liked having actual relationships with older people? The Night Stalker. The Night Stalker absolutely graped older women several times. There's a name for that, and it's happened time and time again. It just happened recently. I saw it in the news. It was like a 20-something-year-old dude that graped. I think the lady was in her late 80s or early 90s. Okay, so they want to distract you from that. So they're weirdo perverts that just was in the house for 41 minutes, graping your mom. She's talking back. You smack her. You're coming with me. And then you're like, hey, we're going to just send this to TMZ and throw them off, whatever it may be. It could be that. Yeah, BTK. Right.
Call the hospital. So then I started calling the hospitals, and the police were there and talking to her at the same time. And it was just chaos and disbelief.
I was fascinated to hear that. On day 3 of this investigation, my source told me back door wide open. Now, I've had 2 other law enforcement sources who've confirmed back door wide open. And here is Savannah saying back doors, plural, propped open. So just a very interesting piece, to the puzzle from Savannah herself. I also want to play for you now what Savannah said about the condition of her mom. We heard early on that the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, said that Mrs. Guthrie couldn't walk 50 yards without help. Well, Savannah got more specific about her mom's medical condition and her mobility. Have a listen.
I mean, from the very early moments, Annie and Tommy were saying this isn't that case that you are used to where someone wanders off. She can't wander off. Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could be a little birdie on their shoulder to hear how they said that. Now, the weird thing is, True Crime Junkie, and why I think there's a bunch of distractions and red herrings. Why in the hell would you take an 84-year-old woman through the front door where there's steps and all this stuff to be in your way, instead of just going out of these big sliding glass doors where there's a big giant opening? Why would you do that? Now, there's her blood drops, and the blood drops stop where possibly the car took her or she was transported. All right. Why would you go through a front door where you already know there's cameras that you're going to rip off when you have easy access to the back? The damn door's not even locked. You saw the perimeter of the house. Any one of us could have gone in there and took her without ever being seen, but they didn't do that. Instead, they came through and let us see them and put a kidnapping note to TMZ. Gerontophilia. Okay, thank you. I'll look it up.
Her She was in tremendous pain. Her back was very bad. You know, she was trying to, on a good day, she could walk down to the mailbox and get the mail, but most days not. So there was no wander off.
Yes, guys, I think a lot of us forget, Tucson Girl, there's absolutely DNA in this case, and there's DNA in that bedroom from what law enforcement and people have alluded to. There's absolutely DNA from the perp or perpetrator. However, I lead you to the point that this person doesn't have a criminal record that left their DNA, and they can't find it in the CODIS. So now they're going to the genetic genealogy route in the way that they did with Kohberger to solve that case. Kohberger wasn't in the system, and he left his touch print, his touch DNA on that snap under those girls. It led back to his father, and then it led back to him. That's what they're waiting for. And that's why we're so pissed off, because Sheriff Nanos didn't send the DNA to the Quantico or their FBI lab where it can come back real quick and there's resources, but instead he sent it to the local lab where it can take up to a year to take those DNAs apart and find out who the genetic genealogy matches to. All right. Ancestral DNA, genetic genealogy. Yes. All right. Let's continue. People don't have a record until they do. Okay.
And the doors were popped open.
Yeah.
And there was blood on the front doorstep. And the Ring camera had been yanked off.
Yeah.
And so we were saying, this is
do something.
This is not okay.
Yeah.
This isn't, something is very wrong here.
Yeah.
Did you hear that last bit that Savannah said, what she mentioned, that front doorbell cam had been yanked off? This is still a big mystery. My source on day 3 said the cameras had been smashed. I took that once we saw the empty bracket to mean maybe smashed off the mount, maybe something had been smashed off because.
Now, listen, we don't know who a lot of you people are in chat. I'm glad you're back, Emily Jane. And I wouldn't want people telling me what they do with their doors or their windows. But I got to tell you, Juicy Jules, she did leave her door unlocked a lot. And people do in an area like that. I hate to say that. And none of y'all are going to come. You guys can't even get in anyway. We have a place in Napa, and you know how many times at night when we're hanging out all night and at the pool hot, having barbecues and shit, that we go to bed and nobody locks the door? Again, you guys will never, you can't even get through there because it's a heavily gated community. But we know everybody, that everyone's been owners for the last 30 years, and so nobody really locks their door. And if they do lock their door, many of the people that are there have the key code to get in. All right. So you get comfortable, you know people, and you get your senses go down. What's up, Trisha? How you doing? Good to see you.
Fox had reported that there were glass fragments below that front doorbell mount. And then eventually the mount was seized and taken into evidence, but not for weeks. There is Savannah saying that it was yanked off. And every time I see that perpetrator going back to the garden and pulling up some of the weeds and then holding them in his fists and coming towards the camera. And then you can see his fists working with it. I keep thinking he's using it as a vine to get between the camera and the mount and yank the camera off because you can't get your fingers between it. It's too narrow. The Nest cam and the mount are too narrow. They're like the width of a quarter. So I wonder if Savannah thought that too, or saw.
You guys, welcome Trisha into Guilty of Crime family. My name is Jay, and I'm the host of Guilty of Crime. If you have a different name, let me know, Trisha. I do love that. I want to tell you, Baby Guilty absolutely adored her doll, that little doll, for the first half of her life. That little girl in that little cartoon. Oh my God, it brings back memories. I want another baby, guys. I am having baby fever. Now, listen, I'm 40. I'm going to be 47. I'm not having another baby, but my friend, like a sister, just had a baby, and I haven't been able to meet him yet. I have baby fever right now. What do I do about it? Kawasaki. Yeah, Jay. My name is Jay. Jai, pronounced Jay. All right. Yeah. Show some love, guys, and say a prayer for Nancy. Thank you, Ray.
saw different video than we saw, or more video than we saw. Who knows? But maybe she's come to that conclusion that that camera was yanked off. Just a very interesting detail at a time when there are so few details. Obviously, this is such a painful interview for Savannah. I think every day is just excruciating. Yeah. And she's already mentioned that at night she wakes up every night and that it's excruciatingly painful. Savannah then talked about
now remember, we also have looked at a person that lived in that back house possibly coming back. Again, would they want you to think that? Would they want you to think that it was them? Nope. They're going to throw you off by putting a kidnapper looking dude on the video, leaving everything open and just leaving a trail of the wrong evidence. Bree says, grandkids, girl. What are you talking about, grandkids? My son's 26. My son is not ready for children yet. No. But he will soon. I bet you in the next 2 years, I'm going to be a freaking grandma. Watch. My son is a little... Okay, I'm not going to get into that. But listen, my son is handsome and he's available, ladies. All right? He's 26 years old and he's waiting for you to hit him up. All right? All right, let's continue.
Look, we've all asked the question, right? Why did this happen? Who took Mrs. Guthrie and why? Who wanted Nancy Guthrie and why? And many of us have wondered, is it because of her famous daughter, right? And early on, those ransom notes made us feel like this must have been why. You know.
Now we're going to get to this, and I want to tell you, Jody Lynn, 2 things about the weeds. Number one, had they collected that from day one, they could have extracted some kind of DNA from it, a high probability. Number 2, they didn't try to distort any cameras. He just walked up, knew that it was there, and was like, darn it. He was doing this to the door and grabbing the lock like somebody forgot to unlock the front door. Now, this guy didn't have to go through the front door because the back was open. All right, so red herrings, yes. Yep, mine's 26 with 3 grandkids. No way. My son is not ready for even 1 yet. But he does like pretty women.
Oh, you're stealing her, and then you're sending this family ransom notes because maybe you know that Nancy Guthrie had a wealthy, famous daughter in television. And Savannah talks about that and about how she had a conversation with her brother about that. And she steps into the portion about what we've all wondered, like how much guilt must she have felt? I'm using that word, she's not. But you can see in her pain how she is struggling with this. Take a look.
I mean, my siblings are so amazing. My brother... he spent his career in the military.
That's her sister right there. So that's her brother Cameron, and then Annie. I thought he grabbed those bushes because he didn't eat yet. He looked like he was about to eat those bushes, about to get in there and turn the juicer on and juice those things into a damn Jamba Juice. I don't know why he was doing that. Since I'm new, I'm going to share my working theory. She was whisked off for safety because of the e-files. She was removed as an insurance policy for everyone to forget anything they might know. Thank you for that. Let's continue.
And worked in intelligence and a fighter pilot and is brilliant. And he saw very clearly right away what this was. Yeah. And even on the phone, when I called him, he knew. And he said, I think she's been kidnapped for ransom. And I said, yeah. What? Yeah. Well, why? What? And then, it sounds so like, how dumb could I be? But I didn't want to believe. I just said, do you think because of me? And he said,
and again, if somebody did do this because they absolutely despise Savannah, this is a good look for her to be crying, because they're like, yeah, right, bitch. All the other time you walk around like your shit don't stink and you're fake and you ain't giving us money. Cry. Yeah, cry. There's a reason for the way that they're doing this, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, sweetie, but yeah, maybe. But I knew that.
You did?
I hope not. We still don't know. Mm-hmm. Honestly, we don't know anything. No. We don't know anything. So I don't know that it's because she's my mom and somebody thought, oh, that girl, that lady has money. We can make a quick buck. I mean, that would make sense.
Listen, Ray, that's what I think. If you watch that camera footage again, you see his arm going like this, like he's like, hey, dude, let me in. You got to remember there was that screen door thing there. I have that exact same black screen door. All right. All you have to do is go like this to it, and you could hear it from the door that somebody's there. And then he does this, and his other hand comes down to the doorknob. So that's what I was thinking, that he's like, bro, dude, you didn't let me in, man. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, he's unlocking it and it's not open. So then he's like, shit, this camera light is on. Let's just cover this up, pull it off, and we're good. Yep.
Sense, but we don't know. But yeah, that's probably, which is too much to bear. To think that I brought this to her bedside, that it's because of me.
We don't know that they did.
And I just say, I'm so sorry, Mommy. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to my sister and my brother and my kids and my nephew and Tommy and my brother-in-law. I'm like, so sorry. I'm so sorry. If it is me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
One other detail that Savannah released today was in furtherance to what she mentioned in one of her Instagram posts, which was, my mom was taken from her bed in the dark of night. Now she's going further and giving details about what her mom was wearing when she was taken from that home. Take a listen.
How is it possible that we are having to make a video speaking to a kidnapper who took an 84-year-old woman in the dead of night in her pajamas with no shoes, without her medicine, this little person, and to beg for mercy?
That's new. Pajamas and no shoes. That is new information, because I think about Mrs. Guthrie being taken.
Yep.
If she was walking that stone path off of her front entrance, her tile.
Listen, real quick, guys, and Juicy Jules, I absolutely believe the criminals are criminal. They're absolutely watching. There's no way you're going to send a letter to TMZ, a ransom note to TMZ, and not be watching for the reaction. There's no way the things that look like they were staged that happened and you're not watching it. There's people that get off on that attention. They commit a crime and they want to see what they caused. Brian Koberger did the same thing when he came back that morning after he had killed them in the early morning. Was it 9-10 o'clock in the morning? He wanted to see if there was, what happened. Were the cops there yet? He wanted to see the scene of the crime, but they didn't wake up. All right. It's just flavored. It's nicotine. It's better than cigarettes. All right, let's continue.
Front entrance outside her front door. That would not be the kind of thing you'd want to walk on with bare feet without shoes.
No.
So it's painful to think about, an 84-year-old woman being forced to walk over those stones without her shoes, or God forbid, being carried for whatever reason. But that is a detail we didn't know until now. And Savannah spoke specifically about the whole ransom piece, because we're well into the end of week 8 right now,
What about the ransom?
And many of us have sort of felt as though the ransom piece has fallen away. There hasn't been any mention of it. The alleged ransom seekers never gave proof of life, never gave a second communication to say, okay, well, this deadline is passed now. We'll give you a proof of life or a photo. And and that's all that Savannah and her siblings asked for, right? If you're real, you have to tell us that you're real, and you have to give us proof that you have my mother. And so she speaks to the ransom piece, because while we may have all moved on from it, it doesn't feel like Savannah has.
There are a lot of different notes, I think, that came. And I think most of them, it's my understanding, are not real. And I didn't see them. But,
Just real quick, no shoot vaccine. I already promised to quit. All right. I already promised to quit. I don't want to say that, but I'm working on it. I smoked cigarettes from the time I was 14 until 26 years old. I quit smoking until COVID came. When COVID came and vapes were everywhere, I started smoking nicotine again. I will quit again. All right, let's continue. But it's nicotine.
A person that would send a fake ransom note really has to look deeply at themselves.
Yeah.
To a family in pain. But I believe the 2 notes that we received, that we responded to, I tend to believe those are real.
Really?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked on this podcast, and many other people's podcasts have spoken about this, is when we got the ring cam video from the FBI showing that masked intruder at the front door. It was absolutely terrifying. I remember the day. I remember someone saying, my God, it looks like a scene out of the movie Fargo. It's so scary, just this terrifying masked man. And then we went further to imagine, once we learned from Savannah that her mom had been taken from her bed, what must that have been like? The fear that you can't even imagine opening your eyes and seeing that when you're in your safest space, right? Not only in your home, but in your bed. And Savannah addressed that directly.
I mean, it's just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's just totally terrifying. And I can't imagine that is who she saw standing over her bed.
Yeah.
I can't.
Do you guys think that he took his mask off, or do you think that he was in there the entire time with it? Because now if she woke up and saw him with the mask, and in the 41 minutes or so he was in there, and she saw his face, because he probably already knew what he was going to do. I'm just curious what you guys think. Country Bumpkin, what's up? How you doing, my friend?
It's too much.
Yeah.
Savannah made note about what could only be sort of thought of as the upside to at least having that video, right? We've got a suspect, at least some details, right? Some forensic details, something to put out to the public to get tips. That's a huge upside. But there was the other one where she said, early on, I had a source in the police who said that the investigators were focusing on her brother-in-law, right? And they towed her sister's car. They searched her sister's house. They photographed at night. They canvassed her sister's neighbor. And so a lot of the press went over to her sister and her brother-in-law's home. The investigation has to do that. Every investigation has to do that, right? But that was very difficult for Savannah. And she made a mention of how this image at least tamped down a lot of the speculation about her family. Have a listen.
And I'm glad and grateful to the investigators and the technology companies that were able to find that video. So I hope, at least with people of good heart and compassion, stop the irresponsible and cruel speculation that had started to swirl.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
I'm glad that people saw what came to our door.
When you talk about the cruel speculation, the whispers, the innuendo that it was somebody in your family, how did you weather that?
It's unbearable. Yeah. And it piles pain upon pain.
Go for it.
Meaning that balance of how horrible it's been and how wonderful God has been to her in all of this and helping get her through it. And to that end, Savannah also mentioned that God has spoken to her in all of this. And what she said really is profound in how Savannah has been processing this. Take a listen.
As I said to myself.
All right, I'm going to move forward a bit because we just watched this. So I know every freaking thing that they say right now, and I want to start getting into the theories.
Where does the investigation stand? The direct quote is, "We ain't got shit." That's one of the investigators in the investigation. We ain't got shit. And it is hard to hear that, because all the while I have imagined that they've got really strong leads that they are pursuing.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, and there's people from Tucson and Pima County that are there. What in the hell is going on there that they don't have any leads, but they were able to perform multiple search warrants on people's house via an emergency search warrant, emergency pull, literally the most dangerous thing to do is to get an emergency warrant and pull someone over that's driving, that could be a criminal, that could have had her in the house or what have you. What evidence do they have to be able to do that? There's gotta be. All right, let's continue.
That they're close to getting, right? Like Koberger. We did not know they were following him across the country, that they pulled his father's garbage, and that they were parked outside his door, and that they were grabbing him until they grabbed him. Like, we didn't know all that was happening under the surface of the water, where the ducks paddle under the water feverishly, but it's calm up above and you don't know. We did not know that. And I assumed that was happening in this case. I assumed that there's something happening with this task force, that they're getting closer. But then to hear that, we ain't got shit, that dashed a lot of my optimism for now, because I know there are ebbs and flows.
You know, I don't know why they're not at this point. I mean, I think everybody knows that there's hope, but I think everybody statistically realizes that Nancy Guthrie is probably no longer with us. And when you look at this terrain, I was watching all these episodes earlier, and I saw the terrain from where, let's say, Brian Enton was, etc. I know they did helicopters and planes and whatnot, but I don't understand why there's no search efforts, boots on the ground. And maybe they know something better. Maybe they know something more than we do. Maybe because the blood stopped at a certain point and they figured, well, she got into the car and they drove off, so she's probably not around anywhere around here. What if she's closer to home than anyone thinks?
There are ebbs and flows, and I know that because I talk to people like Paul Holes. Paul is a former cold case investigator for the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office, and he is well known across this country, around the world, for his work solving the Golden State Killer case. Took upwards of 3 to 4 decades to catch that killer, but they did it, right? That trail went cold for weeks, then months, then years, then decades. And he's the guy who was instrumental in helping to bring that case to an end and finding that person and putting him away, despite the fact he was in.
And I couldn't think of the Golden State Killer earlier. That's the reason that we started doing the genetic genealogy, was because of the Golden State Killer. He got away with it for over 30 years. He moved up, back and forth through Northern California to Southern, in Sacramento, around the Bay Area, and then down south. And they caught him because of the genetic genealogy, and they started using that. And then Koberger, and there's other ones, obviously, but yeah, a little bit of history.
The 70s. So I called him about the "we ain't got shit" comment, right? Should I be optimistic? Should I be dashed about this investigation at week 8? And he's got some really interesting things to say about that. So you're going to hear his perspective on A, what it means, B, where it's going, C, how things draw down in the natural order of investigations as life continues and other crimes continue and the taxpayers need resources.
Now, Flojo, I wanted to answer you properly without guessing, because I really don't know. But it says that the FBI doesn't take over an investigation automatically. They'll step in only when federal jurisdiction is triggered, or when local agencies request federal resources. In most cases, the FBI works with local police as a joint venture, as a joint thing. They don't just come in and take over. Now, I got to tell you right now, Flojo, if Sheriff Nanos were to resign next week, I have a feeling that FBI would then take over it. All right, let's continue.
Sources elsewhere, how things shrink when they expand, how they shrink again. So he's going to tell you about that in reference to the Guthrie investigation. But also, I asked him a few other things about my source and the information I learned earlier this week, which was that the blood pattern outside the front door, which is on the entranceway of her home, outside her front door, the blood spatter pattern that goes down the front walkway, how my source said it is replicated inside the home, right over the threshold and into the front entrance, hallway, foyer, however you describe the front entrance of someone's home as you get inside, that those blood droplet patterns are identical right there. I've learned where in the house that blood was, and it's right inside the front entrance of the home, the foyer, the hallway, whatever it is, but nowhere else. It starts there at that front entrance inside. It goes over the threshold and outside.
And like I said, guys, can you imagine Nancy saying, I don't want to go? Like, what do you, I mean, if it were one or two people, they were probably walking her as they step up to the front door to leave. You heard Nancy, I mean, not Nancy, Savannah say her mother's, has faith, the survivor. She's got a cocky attitude. She's very prideful. So maybe they got to that front door and she wasn't listening and they smacked her up or pinched something on her arm or did something to do that. Yeah, they would work together, but Nano sucks and he should resign because he's, in my opinion, messed this case up and he's compromised so much evidence. And the DNA that they do have in this case, instead of sending it to Quantico where the FBI could turn that around fast, he sent it to his local office. Now, you guys know there can be degradation. Every time you run a test on DNA, it gets degraded to a point where you have nothing left to test. Now, if that DNA was mixed with Nancy Guthrie's DNA, like they said it was, then there's not a lot of it to begin with.
Onto the outdoor patio tiles and then down the walkway. So I asked Paul about that because it turns out Paul is also a blood spatter expert. So he's going to weigh in on that. Then I also asked Paul before Savannah spoke about Savannah's words were the back doors were propped open. She said it twice. Was she being colloquial with propped? Because 3 different law enforcement investigators and sources of mine have said back door wide open. There are 3. I know.
Now listen, and maybe again they took her through the front because the back, when you look at the house, you can see the house behind me. There's just a bunch of trees and like high desert, whatever that terrain is. So it would be really hard to get her out of the back door to get to any kind of vehicle or anything. So maybe that's why they went through the front door, because it was easier to get her straight out of the front door, right through the driveway, and the car was there to pick her up. That's where the blood started. That's where the blood started in the house and stopped, is when the end of the driveway came up where somebody would have pulled up. Hence the cars that we are looking for that night. Still, we've heard nothing about them.
No, I said too in another podcast, we have since discovered a door you can't see in any of the pictures or video, but it's a door that goes into the kitchen sideways to the house. If you're looking from the backyard at the back of the house, it's a perpendicular door, so you cannot see it unless you were to look over at it, but it enters into the back patio where the patio furniture is in the backyard. And there are 3 doors. And she said back doors propped open. Did she mean left open or propped?
Right, so we're going to go a little bit forward until this Paul Holes is the one that helped solve the Golden State Killer. Now, Ashley's just talking about the door, which we've talked about again and again and again. Paul Holes is a cold case investigator, and he's going to suggest what the perpetrator's actions, including their costume and media communication, really is. Is it a distraction? Or was it something that they really did? Let's get into right here. Hold on, let me make sure. 1 second.
Sometimes it's a matter of the right tip hasn't come in. So right now, even though we have this situation, Nancy Guthrie, there's an exigency because the hope is she's still alive, and you want to get that information, those investigative leads that will get her home safe. But the reality is that in these whodunit cases, it can take a long time if the offender is actually doing things to try to prevent himself from being caught. And I believe that's what's happening in this case.
You know, it just makes me think, have you ever heard of a case, seen a case, read about a case where an offender steals an old woman to keep the old woman for weeks or months? Have you ever seen it happen for any reason and never asked for anything back? Like never asked for money or some kind of connection to the family? Just I had no ulterior motive.
No, we've talked before.
And this is what I wanted to present to you as soon as I heard it, because this is where I am at in my head. No money's been paid. Nothing was taken from the house. And we don't have Nancy Guthrie, and we don't have a body. What was the purpose of this? What was the motive? And what's going to happen next? What's going to happen with the house? Who's got the power of attorney? Who's writing the checks? Who's paying the people? All right, let's continue.
About this case, the offender, he communicated with the media that he abducted Nancy for ransom. This was his communication. He is controlling the narrative. I want money. However, you know, when I take a look at the circumstances, and I still stand by this opinion, when I see him in that costume, you know, on the front porch, I'm looking at that going, that does not look right at all. He wants to be seen. He's misdirecting. So, you know, he is trying to lead the investigation down a certain path. And then I'm looking at it going, you know what? Don't look at this as an abduction ransom case. I think he possibly had some personal connection to Nancy, and he went to the house to harm her. And so when I
how the heck did I mute myself? That is the only, what he's saying is literally where we are in my head in the investigation, with no information, no ransom notes, no more demands. Everything's just stopped. That's where we are right now. I was muted for a second. I got you. I hit the microphone. That's why.
Here, you know, an inside source that you've developed that we don't have anything on this case. So it's like, okay, so what was the assumption? Let's back up. You guys may have followed a certain investigative path, a certain forensic path, and it hasn't panned out after almost 8 weeks. Let's, you know, resettle. Let's reevaluate and start looking at other possibilities where this offender actually has some level of connection to the.
Okay, do you guys see that now? He's starting to knock, and we know that the camera is right there by next to the door, the black gate, and there's the handle. He's doing this to the door, and he's grabbing for the handle right here, in my opinion.
Family to Nancy. I can't tell you where that would be, but he has targeted Nancy for a reason.
But it sounds to me like you're talking about him being a mastermind. Like, I'm going to cosplay and misdirect and then take her and then send fake ransom notes to TMZ and the local media. Like, that's not a real ransom, seeker. They don't go to the media. They say, don't go to the media. Don't go to the police. So aren't you ascribing a lot more to this guy than maybe what he might be capable of?
Well, but that's also part of what I'm evaluating is, okay, he's going to the media with the ransom. Why is he doing that? Because that complicates his life. That just makes it harder for him to get what he is saying his goal is, which is the financial, assets. All this media attention is not making his life any easier. Him posing in front of the front porch camera is not making his life any issue. He's doing this on purpose.
See?
So that's where I'm thinking you have to take a look at the possibility that his primary goal was to cause harm to Nancy. And why is he doing that? And I think there's, two paths that I would.
Now remember, this guy has the patient of a saint. All right. He has a patient of a saint. If he's been involved in an investigation for over 30 years that's been solved, he's looking at this case as if it were a cold case right now. Let's say no more evidence comes out and it just stops in the tracks. No more tips, no more anything. This is where we're left. An 84-year-old woman was kidnapped. Nothing was taken, and we never found her. What was the point of the whole crime? All right. That's where we are right now.
Look at. You have the celebrity status of Savannah Guthrie. Then you have maybe a personal interaction that he's had with Nancy. And then he's recognizing, there might be some financial resources that I can potentially exploit in order to misdirect law enforcement. So this is where I think, instead of looking at this as an abduction ransom case, I mean, my personal opinion is that this is very possibly a straight up homicide case. And now he's staging it, making it look like, utilizing the media. And when you say, well, is he some sort of criminal mastermind? It's not necessarily being a criminal mastermind. You are now dealing with what I would say is a sophisticated and intelligent offender that is trying to commit a crime that he wants to commit, but also have self-preservation. He doesn't want to be caught.
Of course not.
So he's I would say, a more intelligent offender. And we run across these guys consistently. You know, we have dumb offenders. They don't do this level of thing. You know, he at least has a level of intelligence to think things through. Now, criminal mastermind, you know, the posing in front of the front porch camera in that costume, I'd go, oh no, he's not a criminal mastermind, but he at least has a level of sophistication to know how to manipulate the investigation and how to manipulate the media.
Bingo. Night Stalker did the same thing. The problem when you do that is that you stop and that you leave traces of things and they can connect back, right? The Night Stalker went all the way down to Northern California, he started in Southern and came up to Northern. Now, when he went to Northern California in San Francisco, he started doing that drawing of satanic shit on the walls, right? And then they said, oh, there's no way this could happen. The crimes have been happening down south. How would this guy go all the way up north and commit the crime? Well, because he left those the things on the wall, which aren't going to point directly to him as a person, but now people are looking for, do you remember the satanic panic back in the 80s? Everything was satanic panic. Every crime was by a Satan worshiper. All right, let's continue.
Well, who knows what the investigators are doing?
Also, guys, do me a favor. We have 710 people here. If you guys can hit that like button, it's free to do so. Share this, and if you get a chance to hype, we got like another 20 minutes and we'll be good. All right? Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
In the background, all we can say is that at one point within the last 7.5 weeks, they had 400 people working this case. And now, as we go into month 2, we know there's a task force. It has a half dozen or less homicide members from Pima County, and then an unknown number from the FBI, all of them in the Tucson field office. The rest of the FBI have pulled back to the Phoenix FBI field office. And so that tells me that it ain't.
And there you saw the garage. You saw where she would have to walk through in order to get, hold on, let me go back. It's just that second. Come on, right there. Okay, I mean, a little bit more. Okay, so he would have parked in the driveway. That's not too far to walk. If he pulled up all the way up here, she could have just went straight into the door. Now, let me explain, Mo. I don't know how to say, I'm just going to call you Mo. Let me explain this to you. In the very beginning, we heard through the source that Annie and Tommaso and that group may have been the people that are affiliated or perpetrators affiliated, and that they had just bought a house that they had not even paid the mortgage on, and that Tommaso has issues with gambling. That's all we've heard from a source that Ashley talks about. We have no idea if their house was paid off. I thought they just bought it months ago. All right, let's continue.
FBI field office. Because I keep saying this over and over. If he was ever asking for anything in the beginning, because in my opinion, that ransom was just a bad actor from overseas trying to scam a victimized family. I never believed that the ransom, all the different iterations of ransom seeking, had anything to do with the actual crime other than someone trying to profit off it.
Yeah, and I think I completely agree with you with what I know about the case is that, you know, I don't think this is an abduction ransom case, unfortunately. You know, so this is where.
What would be the purpose of a homicide, though? An 84-year-old woman with no demands.
Again, this is exactly where my head is at. So tomorrow, hopefully I could do a collab tomorrow. Let's see how I'm feeling. But here's the thing. This is exactly in my head where I'm at with this case. What she just said is spot on. We've got an 84-year-old missing woman with some blood splatters, a little bit of DNA evidence. No ransom's been paid, and no other ransom has come in. That's where we leave off to what he's going to tell us. Why?
Nothing. I mean, no sort of, I don't know, no letter to say, I gotcha. There just doesn't seem to be any reason. What would you see as a purpose for a homicide if it's a homicide?
There's so many motives. You know, fundamentally, when you take a look at it, and as far as I know, there isn't any indication that he stole anything out of the house. So, you know, so this isn't like a burglary for property theft that went sideways.
Yep.
You know, so now I think it's more a personal interaction. You know, he had a vendetta against Nancy, or they're, and I don't want to put too much weight on this, but you also have to consider, and I've worked these types of cases, we do have women this age that are sexually assaulted. Yeah.
Bingo. And I'm going to say the same thing. Now, listen, Rocco, I didn't want to just leave that up there because an inheritance wouldn't happen anytime soon. All right. No inheritance would happen if your mom goes missing or somebody goes missing. It takes a really long time for them to be declared dead. And if you do that, if you're able to do that sooner, then guess what? You're the damn prime suspect. However, if you're in control of your mom's house and her finances and her money and she goes disappeared, she goes and she's gone, well, guess what? You're going to move into that house and take over those bills and live in that house and bring your kids in that house and start paying things with her money. Now, you're not necessarily going to get some kind of life insurance or big inheritance, but like I said, let's continue.
And killed. So, there's that possibility. However, the offender potentially, by removing her out of the house, that elevates his risk because now he has a victim inside his vehicle. So why is he doing that? You always have to consider, why is the offender doing an action or a behavior that causes his risk to be elevated?
Well, if it is that, and I am with you, we have talked about geriatric rape on this program. It's a thing, and it's hard to believe. People need to understand.
She just called it geriatric raping. It's a thing, guys. I literally just saw a case last week where some disgusting young man did that to an older lady. Oh my goodness, Kawasaki. My God. I talked about it in the beginning of the case, in the beginning of this, and I also have covered the Naziah Harris case, and I put a short up of Jarvis Butts taking his own life today. So yes, I did. I haven't covered the situation because I really don't feel like talking about grape right now. I really don't. I was going to cover the Duggards, or what do you say, the 19 and counting, but it was all about graping, and I didn't want to talk about that. Anyway, let's continue. But yes, I'm all over that.
And it is real. It does happen. And and I've said it before, the statistic that was given to me by a prominent homicide prosecutor in California said that the percentage of perpetrators of geriatric rape in their 20s, it's 92%. 92% of the geriatric rapists are in their 20s. So it is a thing. But I think when you said he elevates his risk by taking her out of the house, I think he mitigates his risk because, rape is a very, very hard thing to keep your DNA from showing up.
Well, and maybe he recognized that after he committed the crime,
or knew it in advance.
Nobody knows.
So it all depends on the.
Now, listen, none of us know the motive here. Texas Plain Jane, and welcome. Good to see you. Nobody knows it at all whatsoever. Okay. We're totally just speculating. And that's what's driving most of us crazy. Now, if it's driving me crazy, it is consuming me right now. Every time I see anything, I'm thinking, did they find her? What happened? I can imagine how the family feels. So because the fact that they don't have a motive is why we're discussing it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's continue.
Dynamics of the violence that occurred, so if he recognized that, I've left my DNA behind.
And I'm only going to stop for one more second about the Naziah Harris case because I did cover that. Lucky he did tell the news where Naziah was. They searched and they never found her body. Okay. So that did happen. I thought the same thing. I thought he told them and they recovered, but they did not recover. And he did tell them. He may not have told them the right place. All right. What's up, Patriot Pride official? Good to see you.
Need to remove the source of the DNA, and that's removing Nancy's body out of the house. Then yes, he is taking a step to, in his mind, lower the risk. But now he has a victim in his vehicle, which he could absolutely be pulled over in the middle of the night, right? There's aspects that where I'm looking at it going, okay, there's a possibility that you now are trying to do something that you think is self-preservation. However, you are elevating your risk. And that's where I just get back to that question of why is he doing that? And it may go back to your question, is he's now recognizing he's left objective identifying DNA evidence on or in Nancy's body, and now he has to take her with him. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. But
one thing I didn't think of, and I don't know why I didn't think of it now, because so often the conversations we've had, it's elevating your risk if you pick a victim and put that victim.
Jarvis Butts took his own life. Now, this is the complete theory about the distraction. We've got a little bit longer. I know you guys have places to be, people to see. We did drop your Patriot Pride link earlier. Thank you. In my opinion, not knowing the motive is scary as hell. And I bet you it's scary for the people in Arizona, because those people are thinking there's some maniac running around raping older people or what have you, kidnapping for ransom.
And in your car, now your car is going to be invested. What if it was a stolen car overnight? What if he stole a car overnight, did this dastardly thing, and eventually got rid of Nancy's body and then put that car back next morning or in a day, and no one knows? No one's the wiser.
It's possible. I've got cases in which offenders have stolen vehicles. They switch license plates. They did their crime, then they switch license plates back, and then they dump the car. And sometimes these cars are set on fire. Sometimes I had one car end up in Tijuana. That is a possibility, but that also is informative about the criminal history of the offender. Typically, this isn't your novice criminal offender. If he's doing that, he understands the system and then knows how to get rid of something like a stolen vehicle.
Let me tell you, my street was burglarized. All the cars on my street burglarized, and it turns out the vehicle with the kids in it was stolen. So the dumb kids even knew enough to steal a car to commit their crimes.
We don't know that, but we do know that there's 0 arrests with the search warrant. The outcome of it was it was a catch and release, period. Okay, let's continue. Yes, but I won't be covering that on my channel. You could go to Ghost and see what we have, but yeah, I'm not going to cover that here. All right, let's continue. If JLR gets convicted and it's a true crime case, because people are innocent until proven guilty, then we might cover it. Who knows?
And it makes me think, if anyone's watching right now, if you happen to be in the Tucson area, if you remember something weird about your vehicle, it was parked in a different place the next morning on February 1st, or, something was odd. There was dirt on it you didn't recognize, and you can't get past what the heck happened. And you think your friend took it, and you can't get over that your friend won't admit it. It might be worth calling the police. It might be worth calling 1-800-FBI, because, it's entirely possible this guy stole a car, did his crimes, put that car back, and he's walking free.
No, absolutely. And I would say, if you have something like that you remember, open up.
And this guy's got a kind of a smirk on his face, because he knows that that's probably not, it's possible, but it's probably not very probable in this case. We have no direction in this case, and that's why we're going from a ransom note to a person that likes to grape older women. We're all the way in between. We're from there to there. On other channels, they're talking about the whole purpose being a kidnapping, and now they know it's a kidnapping for ransom. I don't know how they got to that, but you'd have to go watch for yourselves. All right, let's continue.
The trunk of your car or the back seat and shine a flashlight and see if you can see some dark stains, because Nancy's bleeding, and it's possible she bled in this vehicle she was transported in. And if the vehicle has darker fabric, that blood is not going to be very readily visible. I've experienced that myself. So you have to really look.
So now I appreciate you, Michael, for saying that 110%. I was absolutely all over this Dominic character, and we did look him up, and he's absolutely a person that has felonies, and particularly in burglary. Yes, you're right. I don't know why. I think the first 2 episodes that I covered, the Nancy Guthrie case, we actually did. I was genuinely thinking, man, it's this guy. It's got to be this guy. Anyhow, let's continue. Midnight Lace, I hope you don't cover it. It's so disturbing. Yeah, I'm not Midnight Lace. Don't worry. I don't think it's going to get to that point anyway, so don't worry. All right, let's continue. Dennis, welcome. Nancy accidentally stumbled onto Tomo's naughty site while she was visiting and had to be disappeared. Dom is his accomplice. I think Dom had help, as well as Tomo and was at home for an alibi. Interesting. Glad you guys are here. Can you hit that like button for me? And thank you.
As an investigator, if there's somebody watching right now who thinks, geez, you know what? I couldn't figure out what the hell went on February 1st. I had that weird thing happen. My vehicle was parked different. And I assumed my wife did it, but then she said she didn't. And I figured she was playing prank, whatever it is. What exposure does somebody have?
Exactly.
If they call the Pima County Sheriff's Department or 1-800-FBI, that's the one I recommend. Now, do they need a lawyer? Because if their car processed and Nancy's blood is in it, and they're the ones that came forward, what exposure do they have? What kind of protection do they need?
It usually becomes very obvious very early.
Yeah, y'all should go up. Now, listen, I am not by any means a conspiracy theorist. I'm like the farthest from conspiracy theories or even just outside of the box. I am like just a straight up, here are the facts, here the evidence, this is probably what happened. But Patriot Pride official and MAB, they just go out on a limb and do what you're supposed to do when you're investigating. You open your mind and step outside the box. If y'all are subbed up to Patriot Pride official as well as MAB, you should be. Go check out their theories, both of them. And I think MAB sent me the theory in my email earlier today. I'm not going to talk about your theory. I'll let them go to your channel and check it out. All right, let's continue. Mama Sage, a lot of people are. And it's all good.
You think about this.
That's how cases get solved, by people working together.
What offender in this case is going to call up law enforcement and say, hey,
it's a nice cover. It's a nice cover.
But you know what? It's not a difficult thing to resolve typically with innocent people. You are doing the right thing by coming forward and saying, hey, I recognize this. I heard details, on Ashley Banfield's show. And I thought, hey, you know what? I think, maybe there's something going on here. And you will be interviewed for sure. And law enforcement is going to kind of take a look at your background and where you were at and everything else and stuff. But, if you're truly innocent, that's not going to be a factor at all. I mean, you'll be very easily cleared.
You hope. Yeah. I mean, we've certainly had innocent people put away, but you're right. Sure. What kind of a guilty person is going to call up and say, oh, hey, but it is a cover.
Well, and not this guy. I mean, look at.
I have no idea what Pima County Sheriff's doing. I have no clue why they didn't search Dominic's house. I don't know why they didn't look deeper into the Bitcoin. Where's my Bitcoin? Maybe they are. Maybe it just hasn't come back. Maybe they had to get particular search warrants that take months. We don't know. We really don't. All right, let's continue.
Look at what he's doing now. I mean, he, put out there, maybe he's the one that communicated. Maybe it's like what you said, somebody else online took advantage of the situation. This guy doesn't want to get caught. He doesn't want to get, any law enforcement attention. And if he were to call law enforcement under some sort of ruse as being an innocent person, it's going to be pretty easy to sort him out.
Yeah. There's so many electronic alibis now as well. Not just if you live alone and you were sleeping that night. Your watch will tell everybody whether you were sleeping. Your phone, your front door, did it open, did it close? I mean, there's all sorts of things that can, and the video on your street that can see so much. Let me ask you, I feel like I've almost exhausted the question that I can't get out of my mind, and that is this investigator saying we ain't got shit. I was so sad when I heard that, because I'm not kidding, Paul. I really did believe that there's, I keep calling it the duck theory. There's this calm little duck floating on the surface of the water and nothing's happening. And then down below, their little paddles are going like mad and we can't see it. I assumed that was this investigation.
And I do as well. And I'm hoping that this is investigation, because every single person that has contributed to this investigation or theorized or talked about it, or even just looking back at cases that have been solved, not solved, what have you, when the media dies down, that's when law enforcement, FBI, what have you, is working on DNA, genetic genealogy, finishing taking apart the car, search warrants, whatever. All right. Yeah, I agree. 110%, Michael, but they might be. I think they should investigate that whole little crew even further. Why aren't they? I don't get it.
And actually, I asked my husband about it over dinner, and he said, wait, there aren't 400 officers or 400 people working on that case anymore? I think a lot of people don't realize it's atrophied down to a small task force. and it will get smaller. It's just how and when do they make those decisions? What makes those decisions for them?
Well, there's
good point, Lucky. I'm glad that you said that because I have thoughts. You know, I'm right now. We're going live. I'm live for you. I'm not reading notes or anything. I'm just reacting to what we're talking about. And yeah, those people aren't in the system and they already committed crimes and they are in the system. So they're probably going based on, hey, they didn't come up. They were already in the system. They had a record, but there's probably more than one and even two people. So we don't know who the person was that was at the door doing that, who was inside with that, was the person that was driving the car, what have you. We don't know.
You know, there's a lot of factors. You know, of course, primarily it comes down to each agency,
right?
What their level of resources are, you know, how many cases they're having to handle. You know, if you're talking about a sheriff's office, the sheriff has, public safety needs that he needs to meet, and at a certain point.
And then if you have a sheriff that has a clown nose on him and he's just a freaking clown all around that's botched this case, more interested in basketball games and freaking the gym and his midlife crisis car, well, then now you guys, it's just all fucked up. Let's be real with each other. Sheriff Nanos botched the first 24 to 48 hours or the most significant evidence, the best DNA, the best everything is gone. It's all gone.
If the case is kind of dwindling, then he's going to have to reallocate those resources to handle, other cases that are coming up, and then the feds have the same issue, just in a different capacity, but what I will say is that, this case is going to have legs for sure. And there will be resources dedicated to it.
But what kind? Like how many, what sort? And for how long?
Well, in terms of how long, I can't speak to that because it depends on what happens. Let's say we have, a major, terrorist action because the Iran war is going on. The FBI is going to be pulled off of this case in order to address that. Yeah. So at this point, I would say
natural order of law enforcement is what you're saying is that, there are other things happening that need our attention and our tax.
Dark scale creatures. I was wondering what that name's for. And most of the people in chat are women. So thank you for correcting that. I try never to even say him or her because I don't know. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. And I'd love to see more and hear more about your snakes and spiders. It looks like you might have a YouTube channel. Is that a possibility? All right, let's continue. We got a little bit more to go.
As well.
Well, and that's where, I spent so much time working cold cases and, many of these cases went cold is because law enforcement resources got directed to current cases. That's just it. There's always more cases that are coming in. And then after a case goes so long, and, like with this particular case, there's going to be an assessment. Okay, what's the public safety threat? Do we have a serial rapist? Do we have a serial killer? Do we have a bank robber that's going in and killing people on a weekly basis? That's probably not what this case is. Nope. And so as time goes on, law enforcement authorities are going to go, okay, this was a one-off. It's not an active public safety threat.
Now, listen, guys, you got to admit every robbery that we've looked into or that we've seen, there's a string of robberies in Arizona, right? They come in the daytime. They come in just to kind of scout out the house. It's this one-off. There's no kidnapping. Robbers usually stick to being a robber. A rapist sticks to being a rapist. Most of the time, they don't cross over. So I don't think that when we're looking at these people that are just pure robbery or have done pure robbery or a street robbery, some meth head out in Arizona that needs his next fix, this is not that case. All right. In my opinion. All right. We've got about maybe 5 minutes left of this. You guys do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe if you haven't, all the stuff. And then tomorrow we'll be back same time on a Friday. Love Fridays.
We want to solve it. However, resources have to be going to the current state in our
I
jurisdiction
remember
to
you.
keep the public safe. And that's just the nature of law enforcement. And I know it's frustrating to hear. It's frustrating for me as a cold case investigator going, can't we do something on these older cases? But the reality is law enforcement is there for the current situation of keeping the public safe, first and foremost. And then you go to the cases that now have some age to them. With Nancy Guthrie's case, the big question mark is she still alive or not? And that's where you still will have resources dedicated with the hope that she's still alive.
Right.
Well, and I got to say, this may sound crazy, but
now this case has a huge advantage because Savannah has the status that she does and the outreach that she does. This has a great advantage. At the same time that it has an advantage, it could have been a disadvantage and why Nancy Guthrie was targeted. So there's two sides to this, right? If I mean, I'm looking at crimes in San Jose and nobody's getting the kind of coverage that we're getting here. All right, let's continue. People do bring moving vans, and they absolutely do. That happened in my neighborhood. When we first moved here, somebody's house got robbed in the middle of the day. They came and brought U-Haul trucks. People thought they were moving. They got back from work, and their house was empty. Just saying. All right, let's continue. You guys hit that like button, drop your theory in chat, and make sure you hit the notification so you know to come back.
Podcasters come in as well. You know, there's plenty of podcasters out there who have actually really crowdsourced a lot of leads and details and solutions. Gabby Petito was found because of a podcaster. I think the Elgin, Illinois Police Department, they put out the podcast, I think it's called Somebody Knows Something, and they were able to find the car of a long missing woman who was dead under, you know, a river, at the bottom of a river. So there are alternate means to continue the heat, so to speak. But being on your side of law enforcement and knowing that there's people like me on the other side here just looking for the information, doesn't it make sense to keep feeding the media so that they will keep the story alive and keep the tips coming in?
There most certainly is a strategy that law enforcement can continue to employ. And you know, one of the criticisms that I have with law enforcement is they have a tendency to circle the bandwagon, right? We're not going to interact with media.
That's because a lot of them are really prideful as well. Like Nanos has the wrong ego and pride. I heard the crocheting, like YouTube crocheting community is hardcore. I want to see your crocheting. And I remember you dark scale creatures. I think yesterday you were in here and we see you, first time caller. We could see you. What do you want to say? Get it out there.
And very early on in the case, that's appropriate. You have to keep details about the case out of the public domain because those details may be what is needed in order to be able to successfully solve and prosecute the case. So. But as the case ages and as, you know, understanding the circumstances, more experienced investigators and agencies start understanding we need to make sure that we can continue to keep the media and the public informed because there may be a solution as we provide more details. Unfortunately, there's so many agencies that literally put their head in the sand and never communicate any more details of the case because they just don't have the experience to evaluate how to, I'd call it a seesaw. You know, it's sort of like as time goes on, you need to be able to feed more details. And this is where I would say with this particular case, that seesaw is faster. You need to start feeding more details to the public because you have the public's attention.
All right. So this, I mean, we're in the last couple of minutes of his thoughts. And this guy is great. I'm going to probably go follow. Oh, I'm going to go to X, follow him if you have his Instagram, whatever. He is not considered law enforcement anymore because he's out there doing this public thing and probably like a private eye type of thing that law enforcement won't use him. They won't use him because they think he's media or trying to make money from that. And he says it at the end, but we're not going to watch this whole thing. I just want to get his final thoughts about where we are in the case. And where we are in the case is a seesaw right now. We need more information from law enforcement to come out if we want to get new leads. Remember, 20 or 30,000 more leads came in as soon as the as soon as Savannah said, hey, I got $1 million on it, now you got $1 million plus 200,000. All of a sudden the lines are clogged up with leads. You think leads are coming in right now when other people are thinking about other cases? No. All right. Let's get more information, guys.
You have the exigency if Nancy's still alive in order to see if you can't generate more tips. You know, and of course, we now have this phenomena of the online sleuths, and I probably have the most experience of anybody with the online sleuthing community because I work Zodiac and I work Golden State Killer, and I was hammered by both, you know, groups, and there's a lot of overlap with them. And there's individuals that have great skill sets that law enforcement doesn't have. You know, then there's individuals that have great intentions and they provide decent information. But then you have a bunch that are just killing us in
100%.
terms of, you know, misinformation and bad leads that we need to follow up on. So it's very much a pro and con thing with the online sleuthing thing. You know, with the Guthrie case, this is, you know, the issue is going to be is that law enforcement hasn't released a lot of information. So the online sleuths don't have the facts in order to be able to actually go after something that has a nexus to the case.
You're right. And then when Sheriff Nanos does release something, he retracts it. And then it's actually, it's actually discovered to be erroneous because people.
Which, guys, this is a unanimous vote that they want him out of that position. So what she's saying is correct. This man stumbles on his words and he contradicts himself in the same sentence. He doesn't even finish a breath before he goes, da, 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 and he changes his mind about what he's going to say. Now, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody that stutters, but boy, does he stutter. And I don't think he's stuttering when he's out at the gym or driving his car trying to flex with the ladies at the basketball games, drinking his beer. But boy, when he has to be the face of public, he doesn't know how to talk, what to say. He lies, contradicts himself, and just, it's embarrassing.
People in the community say that actually didn't happen when he said it did. It's just been a big hot mess.
Well, and I will say, you know, this is where, yeah, when you have
who's the troll? I want to know who the troll is. Is it the troll that says, the person that said, "Can you see me in here?" I want to find that troll and pat them on the back for getting that attention. Where's the troll? Mama Sage, name that troll. It's fun for me sometimes. All right. Okay, that was the person that came in. First time caller, you didn't interrupt. Did you say something? That's the only, when someone comes in and says, "Can you see me?" or "Am I blocked?" I automatically assume that you came in here before and said some nasty shit to me and the mods kicked you out. So hopefully that's not you because, right, we just want you to be here. We're just getting out theories and I'd love to agree to disagree with you if that's the case. All right, let's continue. Thank you guys for being here. Hit that like button, all that. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Sheriffs, I mean, they are way up on the ladder rung, right? So what ends up happening is the information that they get are coming from detective sergeants that go to a lieutenant, that go to a captain, that go to a commander or assistant sheriff, finally to the sheriff. So now you have the whole telephone game going on, and now he's putting out information as he has been told, and it's already been altered by the time he's hearing it. I've seen that time and time.
Sorry, first time caller. I didn't mean to call you a troll. I was just saying in general, when someone comes in here and says, "Can you see me?" it's because they got blocked. Anyway, yeah, Michael's not a troll. Michael's not a troll. Don't time Michael out. He just agrees to disagree. That's okay to agree to disagree in a healthy way. It's okay. It's all good, man. All right, please look up. Thank you. Prayers for you, first time caller. And I didn't mean to put it out there like that. Yeah, but also Synth gets sassy with the people back. So hey, if you timed him out, okay, but let's not kick him out. Michael said, "Since you're acting like you know." Oh yeah, he's just being don't worry about that. He's not a troll. All right, no, it's okay. All right, thank you, first time caller. We're all good, guys. We're here for Nancy Guthrie. We're not here to fight with each other for nonsense. We can joke, we can agree to disagree. And now his final thoughts on law enforcement and where we are. Tomorrow we'll be back, and we're probably going to do a collaboration with MAB. And I think maybe, I don't know, did we get you guys on there as well? Patriot Pride? Anyway, let's continue. We're almost done.
Again.
That's interesting. So do PIOs go to the base level and get what they need and skip the whole telephone chain?
PIOs usually, speak in terms which they are able to provide
Obfuscate.
information, but it's not where somebody can go, oh, no, you're wrong here. You know, PIOs are very, very good at least providing information that the media is going, okay, we're good, without getting down into the details where now people are fact checking them.
Right, right. And they do obfuscate. And I know they have a hard job. I've worked with them for 38 years. So, okay. So it's obvious that the natural order of things will show that this task force will get smaller eventually, that those who are assigned to the case will be reassigned. And eventually, you know, this case might have 1 or 2 or 3, or even just one person on it, which is hard for everybody who's so invested in this, particularly the Guthrie family.
Yeah.
That's hard for them to realize, but it's like you said, it's the natural order. Talk to me a little bit about the other news that my source told me this week. A couple things. First and foremost, that the family has told the police that Nancy Guthrie rarely locked her back doors. And I want to make a correction. I said this earlier, but I want to make a correction. She has 3 back doors. 2 of them are visible with the drone shots that have gone around the back of the house. One of them is not visible because it's vertical. You know, it's perpendicular to the picture, so you can't see it. But
all right, so I'm done talking about theories. Trish, I'm gonna address you real quick, and then class is dismissed. All right, Savannah Guthrie and police insider information reveal disturbing clues in this last almost 3 hours. I ask you, is this all a distraction? Now, everything that I've provided for you today, I still ask you, is it a distraction? And it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're all good. Like, guys, we're talking about Nancy Guthrie, an 84-year-old woman that has gone missing, and the world's looking for her. There's no reason to, come on, chill out. All right. Did you see the signs that showed up? Yes, I did. Trish, I know Trisha, you're new here. Go back to my channel and watch the episode that I did yesterday. We absolutely talked about those, and we even broke stuff down about what they meant, possibly. All right, let's continue. Pam, Todd, we're sorry. We just love RJ. Well, listen, guys, I love you. Come back tomorrow, Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm in Cali. If you're on the East Coast, it's 7 o'clock. We're going to do a prayer on the way out for Nancy. I mean, just, you know, you guys can silently pray that this case does get solved, and we get the closure, and they get the closure that they deserve, frankly. Because once this case does stop circling in the media, then it is cold because no new leads are coming back in. All right? Class is dismissed. Thank you for everybody that's new here. Thanks for those that subbed up. Thanks for those that shared. And thanks for those that enjoy the community and respect each other. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night. I love you all. And I will see you back here. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night. Thanks, Doris. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Good night, everyone. Mwah.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?